the last one. It's the last podcast.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah, I feel fine. I don't know about you, but
it's kind of rainy outside.
Yeah, it's the last podcast of 2023. You know, it's funny. I was getting the podcast ready, and I've been kind of watching the news, and I was like, "There's not going to be a lot of news this week." And then I went to go look at it. I was like, "Oh fuck, man!
Something happened.
There's
something
tons,
major.
There's all kinds of news. You and I have suffered through the news maelstrom this year. We're just like thing after thing after thing. I don't want these podcasts to be 4 hours long.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, the joke is, like, I can't wait till we have precedented times again.
Yep.
Because we keep ending up in unprecedented times, and I'm tired of it.
Yep. I want to be bored. I want to be bored all the time now.
I want to not give a shit about the news again, but it keeps happening.
Not next year, though. But welcome back, everybody, to the last RageSelect podcast 2023 right here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff. I'm hoping I don't know if we're going to, but if we do get through this stuff, I did want to say we don't really do the like best of the year because I think that people could probably like suss it out from just what we talk about all the time.
We talk about a lot of nonsense.
But if we do, maybe we'll get to the end and we'll do a quick 10 minutes on like what are good games you played. Like I don't like ranking stuff. I never liked giving stuff scores back when we used to score stuff.
Well, the problem is that we change our minds a lot on some stuff unless something is overwhelmingly like the best thing, like with what happened with Control.
Right.
That was one of the few times where I'm like, this is definitely my number one kind of thing. And then every now and then, you know, like we got blindsided that last year when God of War and Elden Ring at the same time.
Sure.
We're like, I don't know what the fuck to say.
It's Elden Ring. I made that mistake before when it was Dark Souls and Skyrim. I'm not making it again.
Okay.
It's fucking Elden Ring.
See,
God of War Ragnarok was good, but like Elden Ring was better.
There was a lot of stuff.
Anyway.
This year, that makes it even harder.
Elden Ring was 2021.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2020. Last year was dick, okay? Last year sucked assholes.
I don't even remember what we did last year.
Here, let me pull up. We'll never get to more.
Just look up like the best
like best games this year. Oh fuck! I forgot they changed this Metacritic thing so that it's like it sucks now. Like you have to use this like slider and you just got to like move it like. Oh wait, no.
I think it's because you just put this year and so it just has whatever the year.
Can I just choose just to 2022?
Yeah, that worked.
Oh, Elden Ring was 2022.
Yeah,
okay,
then I was right.
All right, you were right. Yes,
Then I did remember.
It was February of 2022. That's why it messed me up because it was so early. Let's see. What do we got here? Elden Ring, God of War, Ragnarok. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Like I was a teenage exobiologist. Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah, you weren't kidding. It kind of was dick because I don't remember half of these fucking things.
Last of Us Remastered. Immortality was good. Like
okay, it turns out last year wasn't very interesting.
That's the first page, and half this shit is just remasters and re-released.
Yeah, if that's the top, then last year wasn't very interesting.
Last year was not very interesting. This year
has been crazy.
This year is fucking nuts, man. Like we're still playing custom mech wars last week of December.
Yeah.
But before we get to all the news, of which there is quite a bit, Michael, I want to say, what's up? Did you do anything cool? You watch anything cool? Play anything cool? You eat anything cool?
I've just been watching Christmas shit all week.
Okay.
Because I realized that Christmas was coming up, and I didn't feel very Christmassy.
Nope, me neither.
And it was really dicking with my Christmas spirit, as Mac would say.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? While I'm working, I'm going to like just put on Christmas stuff all the time. And so I watched every American Dad Christmas one, of course, as is tradition. I watched a lot of Simpsons ones. I watched a lot of King of the Hill ones. I watched a good chunk of movies like Scrooged. The last thing I finished off with was Iron Man 3.
Yeah, there you go.
For the week.
You just do a Shane Black marathon since they're all at Christmas.
Probably, yeah. I thought about just watching Lethal Weapon and all those
Die
movies
Hard
one after another. But I was like, I'm just gonna watch a bunch of just random shit because I even watched some like YouTube stuff like the Red Letter Media Christmas.
Oh sure,
because they just came out with theirs. Yesterday. And so I watched some of that too. So I've been mostly doing that, and I've also been playing a lot of the new Fortnite stuff.
Oh, okay.
The racing.
Is it because the Ninja Turtles are in there?
Well, no, I was doing it so I could. Well, I did buy the Ninja Turtles, but I was playing it. I was playing it even before that point.
Yeah,
because my friend and me were trying to like grind, so we'd have like a good idea of what we're doing for when Solid Snake comes out.
Sure.
And then the Rocket racing came out.
That's pretty fun.
And that was literally fun.
Yeah.
I haven't fucked with the music thing. I haven't touched that at all.
They said that last week there was a story where they were saying that 2024 they're going to make it a priority to try to get it compatible with Rock Band controllers.
Yeah, which is a great idea. I missed the wagon for fucking with it though to EXP farm though.
Oh,
did you hear about that?
Yeah, there was like some kind of exploit or something where it was just giving you massive amounts.
Yeah, because one of the things you do is it gives you a level instead of just experience.
Right.
And so people found a way of fucking with it that they were just leveling up. And so I saw a shit ton of Peter Griffins all of a sudden in suits.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did all these guys get all this shit? Because some of that stuff isn't in like the normal battle pass.
12-year-olds, man.
And then I realized, because everybody was exploiting the shit out of the game.
Yeah.
But other than that, I finally got a battle royale by myself win.
Oh,
so that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a lot of fun.
Cool.
Fucking with that thing, especially because you can just put in podcasts and just go to town on it.
Yeah, definitely. I've messed with the Lego stuff a little bit. I think the Lego stuff is a little bit.
It's like half-ass Minecraft.
It's maybe because I'm more familiar with Minecraft, but I just feel like it just takes so fucking much to like do anything.
That's what my friend told me because I didn't try out the actual version.
Yeah,
because there's two modes that you can do. The one is the actual one, which is the one you were talking about, and the other one is just. I guess it's free mode, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And it's just like, it just gives you everything. Like, you can just make whatever, whenever you want.
Okay.
The problem is, like, I'm not very creative with that sort of mode. And I was just like, I don't want to do this. And so I just stopped because I didn't know what to do. I was like, I made a balloon thing. Now, how do I make it fly? And I stared at it and I couldn't figure it out. So I was like, this is stupid.
Well, I wish I had as festive of a thing on my list because yesterday... God, I've gotten kind of bad at this. I watched that Julia Roberts movie that's on Netflix, like What We Left Behind or something like
what
that.
that is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't either, but then it came out. I'm a big, like, anybody who doesn't know, and you should from context clues, I'm a big sucker in like looking at Metacritic scores because you can get like professional human being rankings on stuff and not just like what a bunch of yahoos on Google Play think about Iron Man 2.
Yeah, usually you can get like the movie one side of Metacritic is usually much nicer.
Yeah. And
when it comes to people, because the video game one is just crazy people.
And so I looked at it and it was like it's this Julia Roberts movie that was on Netflix. What's it called? What is it What We Left Behind? Yeah, What We Leave Behind. And it had no, that's a different thing. That's a documentary of some sort. All right, guys.
Just look up Julia Roberts.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to look up Julia Roberts. Here, if I just search for Julia Roberts, Netflix. Yeah, there we go. Leave the World Behind. That's it.
I saw a thumbnail for that, but I didn't know what it was about.
Yeah, it was.
Because I saw Ethan Hawke's face on it.
Yeah, it's got Ethan Hawke. It's got Mahershala Ali. I like him a lot. He's been in a lot of stuff that I like. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry.
I barely know how to say it, and I'm pretty sure I fucked it up.
But yeah, it's like the kind of snapshot is that Ethan Hawke and Julia Roberts are like a mom and a dad, and they have kids, and they live in New York, and they book an Airbnb basically to go to of this like really nice house, like a Verbo, right?
Yeah,
and it's out in the woods, like outside of the city. And then when they're out there, this shit starts happening, and it slowly becomes clear that like something really bad has happened, and that like so Mahershala Ali and his daughter like show up at a certain point in the middle of the night. They're just like, "This is our house. Like, I'm sorry, we didn't want to do this, but like there's something bad going on." And so there's a lot of like tension between the two families. And, I was thinking about it, where people who are like, you keep your politics out of my movie. And it's like your response can be, a lot of movies have politics. The bad guy in Ghostbusters is the EPA. Okay,
yeah,
movies have politics, but
very few of them don't. And if they do, it's because it's made for a 4-year-old.
Yes, Amanda was telling me like one of her coworkers was saying something that was just like, "Ooh, it's like a horror movie or like a thriller." And then but then they snuck in all this political stuff, and I'm like, this is a political movie that just happens to take place during like a horror movie because a lot of it is about the families and how they trust each other.
When somebody's like, they snuck in things. I'm like, this isn't subtext. This is the text of the movie.
Right.
They didn't sneak in anything.
Right. So it definitely don't watch it if you get irritated when movies get preachy at you, because it is a very preachy movie. It just depends on whether or not you're interested in in that kind of thing, in this kind of like exploration of what humanity and how we treat each other and what it's like, the relations between black and white people, stuff like that. There's a lot of that in there. And then it's got some interesting kind of like apocalypse imagery in it that I've never seen before. But it's not like at the end, it never becomes like a full-on horror movie. It's one of those movies where you get to the end and it's just like ambiguous. What happened to the world from there? We'll never know. What even happened? We don't know.
Oh, okay. Like, well, that's interesting. Turns out it was man.
It was, yeah. It turns out it was man. It really does. No, it did. At the end, it really did turn out that it was man. Okay. That's not even like a spoiler because like the whole movie is kind of pointing in that direction.
Also, that's just a fun trope.
Anyway, it was pretty good. Like it's got like an 80, 90, something like that on Metacritic. Like it's got a pretty decent score on Metacritic. And if you're into that kind of artsy fartsy politics stuff, I mean, like Julia Roberts wasn't going to sign on for schlock.
No,
like,
she's not known for that. Ethan Hawke probably would, but not her.
Last week I didn't talk about it anywhere, but I watched that Heather Graham movie that came out.
Oh.
What is it called? Like
the skin thing? I can't remember the name of it.
God, I'm so bad at this. It's called like
Perfect Skin, something like that.
It's not
something Skin, I think.
It was called wait, that's TV, video games? No, wait, is that TV? Horns? Oh, these are movies. Suitable Flesh.
Suitable Flesh, that's right. I was trying to remember what it was called.
Yeah.
Apparently it's pretty good.
And it was directed by Joe Lynch, but it's based on the guy that did the like Reanimator and Castle Freak.
Yeah.
And like it's so weird because it's filmed like a late 80s schlock movie and nobody acts right, and it just got all this weird bad special effects and these weird like camera angles that are from that style of movie.
I only found out about it because I read a lot of media talking about it.
Yeah, me too.
Apparently Joe Lynch was very excited.
It was very weird. It was very strange. I was like, I don't know if I like this because I don't know that I'm quite as into this, like this whole idea that, you know, you're like, oh shit, it's Barbara Crampton. I love Barbara Crampton. I'm like, I think Barbara Crampton is fine, but I'm not like, you know,
we're not like Chris, the way Chris is, where he's just like, I love all the Reanimator stuff or something like that.
Right.
We're like, I like Reanimator, but I'm not like in love with Reanimator kind of thing.
Yeah, Stuart Gordon. It was like the last script that Stuart Gordon had, and then like he died before he could film it, and so they made it. It's a very weird movie. It's a very strange movie.
It sounded weird. Every time they explained it, I was like, that sounds fucking crazy.
It's from that era where like there were like horror movies that were like half horror movie and then half kind of softcore porno from Cinemax, and it's like,
which was a good time when we were younger. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
but like, you know, the older I got, the more I'm like, I kind of wish I could skip some of these parts because I don't really need to deal with this.
So I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, speaking of weird, we got some weird news. I thought it was going to be an easygoing week, and then I don't know if I think this was a bullet point from last week or maybe the week before.
This was because the news of them being hacked was a thing already.
Yeah,
but they were very much in the I'm still blackmailing you part
right
before this part happened.
Right. So Insomniac got a bunch of shit stolen from them by a hacker group. I mean, did you and I talk about this 2 weeks ago? Because if not, then it was probably.
I feel like we brought it up, but I don't remember if we were on mic when we did or something.
I might have either cut it or it might have been on last week's list, and then I just the Game Awards took too much time. So
probably.
Anyway, they had a whole like, hey, if you don't pay us the Bitcoin, we're gonna put your shit online.
They wanted $2 million.
They want $2 million worth of Bitcoin. Okay. So one of the weird things here is that this is 98% because apparently there was like a 2% part of the data that did get ransomed, and then once the time came up, they just put the rest online.
Yeah,
and so. I wrestle a little bit about this, Michael. I wrestle a little bit with this because it's like this was some bullshit that was done by nefarious dudes.
Yes.
On the other hand, when this stuff happens, it's like the GTA 6 leaks or the Capcom leaks or whatever, where it's like it turns out that this is all probably true, or that this is most likely all true information. Now it goes for a long time. Is it weird that the main way that I was thinking about this was like these are like spoilers for the next decade? But
no,
it's
they
like,
are, and that's the thing is that apparently I never found out the story ones because apparently there are story spoilers within the actual leaks. And there's I don't know if you have this or not, where they found a playable demo.
Oh, yeah.
Or not even demo, but a build of one of the ones that they're working on.
Yep. So, but then on the other hand, this information now exists.
Yes.
So, like,
you can't put it back
like
in the box.
Like it doesn't at this point. So, and considering the fact that, I don't know, I've talked about all the rest of stuff. Like, I like Insomniac a little bit more than I like Capcom or Rockstar, right?
Well, I like Insomniac a lot. My issue with what happened isn't the game stuff that came out. So there are a lot of personal stuff came out too. Personnel file stuff came out.
Yeah,
that's the shitty part.
We're not talking about that. We're not talking about Discord or people's records or anything like that.
No, but that's the bad part of it.
Yeah.
But all the rest of the stuff is like it's kind of like the way the court filings were.
Yes.
Which were like, I didn't need to know these things, but now that I know, I find it very interesting that we know these things.
Yes. So, the big thing here is that it appears that Insomniac is like full on locked into to making Marvel games. There's like because we got a roadmap that goes through like 2035 or something like that.
Yeah, about either that or 36. It was one of the two, but it's as far out as it goes.
It's like a decade worth of stuff, and outside of one additional Ratchet and Clank games, and maybe some stuff that happens like in the early 2030s, they're set to just like be hooked into making Marvel games for the foreseeable future, because here's like the projected dates that we've got. Spider-Man 2 multiplayer in 2024. That was co-op multiplayer for Spider-Man 2.
So I read some of this. Some of the stuff got scrapped apparently.
Yeah,
it's just this was the original roadmap. Some of it was they wanted to make a Spider-Verse multiplayer game, and there was like a screenshot that I saw that was like each Spider-Man was like a different class.
Oh, okay.
So it was just like 2099 is Brawler, like Peter Parker's like an all-arounder, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And so it was like clearly like, and then something in there was saying, by the way, this was a scrapped idea we never got around to doing.
Instead of capture the flag, do you have like capture the miles? Is that a game mode?
That would have been really funny. No, it actually had some art for some ideas.
Yeah,
they were like raids. It's sort of like a giant symbiote.
Oh, okay.
And they had like one of them was called Turf War, and it was like spiders versus a bunch of symbiotes.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And it was like, this is a cool idea, but how could you make that work is the hard part.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that might be one of the reasons that got scrapped. Okay. Some of these multiplayer things just seem like like good ideas that they just don't know how to implement yet.
Sure. A full-on Venom game.
Yes.
Like a full-on spin-off Venom game, which I think I think with the work that they put into Venom and the symbiote and stuff, I'd play that. Like, I played Spider-Man, I played Miles Morales, I would play a Venom game.
Yeah, apparently there's like unused attack ideas they had from the art book or something.
Yeah. And
so people are thinking that those probably would have been used for that game. And also people are wondering, hey, maybe we'll get Eddie Brock Venom, with the way the game ends.
Sure. 2025, 2026 Wolverine.
Which that has the most amount of information leaked out so far.
The thing is, if it's not altogether clear here, I didn't look into a lot of the information because I kind of wanted to keep it like on a surface level. So I didn't like look for any of the actual release stuff.
So what happened to me is that Twitter likes giving me shit I don't want to see.
Ah, there you go.
And so I saw a bunch of it.
Yeah.
But luckily I didn't find any of the story ones because there were a shit ton of story spoilers out there.
Yeah.
For it. But I saw all the videos and the gameplay of it and stuff. So I thought, so that's the stuff I saw.
2026 Wolverine multiplayer.
I don't even know how that would work.
Well, I think it would work better for Wolverine.
Bunch of Wolverines.
Maybe. But whatever it is, I think it would work better for Wolverine. The thing is, I can't imagine what a multiplayer game would be like when you have the verticality of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it's like playing Armored Core or something. I don't know.
I see like maybe a co-op mode, but I don't see like a full-blown multiplayer game.
I think co-op would be really cool. Like if you and your buddy could play through.
That would be really cool.
Spider-Man. 2027, Spider-Man 3. So another Spider-Man 2028. So apparently the Wolverine then is going to lead into an X-Men thing.
Which is interesting. That was the thing none of us had any fucking clue that we're doing anything with.
Yeah. 2028 X-Men multiplayer game, 2029 to 2030 X-Men, and then on this roadmap at least 2031, 2032 a new IP, and then 2035 another new IP. I do know that in some of these lists they did talk about like there's another Ratchet and Clank game on the docket somewhere.
And somewhere in the middle, I think between Wolverine and X-Men, there's supposed to be a new Ratchet and Clank. And apparently, according to the way the X-Men thing is written, that all these things will just be PlayStation related.
Yep.
So Xbox basically will not be having any of these specific Marvel games on them for a while.
There was also some information that showed that like there were contracts signed that even were like talking about like Marvel can't promote previous X-Men games within like 6 months of the release of this game. Like there's a
lot of numbers and stuff.
They very much made a deal with Sony and Insomniac to basically just like, you guys are going to become a Marvel farm for a little while.
They also, there is like an out clause for both sides.
Yeah.
One of them is that X for Disney, if they don't sell X amount of units,
I think
it was a lot too.
6 million
or something like that. Or something like that. If they don't sell that many, Disney has the right to just be like, okay, we're done.
Right.
And if the other side decides I don't want to do this anymore, then they have to pay like a specific amount.
Right.
And then their hands are clean of it.
Like an exit clause.
Yeah. And I was like, that's the stuff that I found really interesting. I didn't need to know it, but I found it like incredibly interesting.
Mm-hmm. So like the thing is, I'm a little, this news, and there's a little bit more to it, but I mean, there's obviously more specifics when it comes to, like you said, the story trailers. I saw some art from it that showed Wolverine fighting a number of different like
lot of videos,
and they're people you would expect like Omega Red, right? Like that's not like a you know.
And some of the stuff that like gameplay wise you see, you're like, well, that looks like an Insomniac game.
Right.
I have no issues with that.
Kind of. I saw one video and it was Wolverine walking around kind of doing like an investigation. What I liked was there was like a sniff button. You'd like keep sniffing around to see if you could find the scent of somebody.
Yeah,
and
people were getting really weird about it. Like, it's funny because on Twitter you can find the comic book Wolverine fans and the not comic book Wolverine fans based on their reaction to that exact like mode.
Yeah.
Because the non comic book fans are like, Wolverine's just a crazy guy who murders things. He doesn't skulk around and do investigations and shit. Every comic book nerd's like, you've never read a Wolverine comic in your entire fucking life. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm of two minds about this.
Yes.
So my first is that for years, both Insomniac and Naughty Dog, like I'm so glad that Sucker Punch got to make Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I like Insomniac and Naughty Dog. I like their games. Like, I mean, like I have my problems with The Last of Us, but I like the actual gameplay of The Last of Us feels good. Just the story feels bad, and I'm not looking for that in a video game. And so for years, I've been like waiting for both Insomniac and Naughty Dog to get a chance to try something new, because Spider-Man was like, you know, it was a great Spider-Man take, but it was still just like, okay, you're making a Spider-Man game, right? And then it's like, okay, now we're going back to Ratchet and Clank. And it's like, okay, well, I've seen that. I would love for them to be able to branch off and do something else. So that's a little disappointing. But on the flip side, after the last 5 years of jerk-ass comic book games, I'm like, at least Insomniac knows what the fuck they're doing. Like,
it's true.
They could make a good, like, even fucking Rocksteady, The Chosen One, you were supposed to bring, like, a balance to the fucking comic book universe, not destroy it.
Everybody has been shitting on them all day, but we'll get to that part.
We will get to that. But it's like, of all the people who have made comic book, you know, media is at this huge zenith, and yet the games, they still kind of suck. Like,
the funny thing is that we got spoiled by the Arkham series. We got spoiled by the first Spider-Man game. We even got kind of spoiled with some of those early like Ultimate Alliance type ones.
Sure.
And we were like, hey, superhero games can be good, and so we started playing a lot of those. And then one day, we started regressing.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, and it frustrates me that we did.
I think it's because a lot of those licenses got given to big companies, and they wanted to maximize their profits, and so they made games that maximize profits but aren't necessarily fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's like what happened to Star Wars. We should be swimming in good Star Wars. There should be a fucking Mandalorian game. There should be a fucking Ahsoka Tano game.
I'm still shocked there isn't all these things.
There should have been tie-in shit-ass games for the movies, for God's sake. Like,
all we got are Lego games for those.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
And the idea that some of the biggest franchises in the world just can't seem to be monetized because they get too hungry and they want this like infinite money machine, as opposed to just like, well, you guys could make a lot of money if you just found a good studio, gave them the IP, and let them go. You would make money.
Yeah. That's what Spider-Man luckily was.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those leaks mentioned stuff that could have been stuff like that.
There it is,
nothing
Michael.
happened.
That's what I want Insomniac to do, is to make a Fuse 2 game.
They should just make the Fuse we thought it was supposed to be.
Make Fuse 2, and then Jason Murphy and I can play that, and that'll be the end cap. It'll be like a palette. It'll be like a poem. It rhymes. That's the end of RageSelect when Fuse 2 comes out. You guys heard it here.
I'm actually cool with that, because that would be really, really funny. This is all just one long game to trick them into making Fuse 2.
Started with Fuse, and we're ending with Fuse.
That would be so fucking funny.
So but if somebody's gonna do this shit, Insomniac is good at this. I think they are. Like some people I think got a little overblown with the hate on Spider-Man 2, and I think it was only because in 2022. Spider-Man 2 would have been game of the fucking year. It would have been Spider-Man 2 versus Elden Ring, and a lot of people would have been like, Spider-Man 2 all the way, baby.
Yeah, the general audience would have sprung for Spider-Man 2 easily.
Yeah.
It's just that it came at a time where no one expected Baldur's Gate 3 to annihilate everyone.
Yep.
And I mean everyone.
Yep.
In a year where you didn't think that was possible.
It was like the sales figures for Elden Ring, where I'm like, even I'm surprised that I know how good these guys are.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I was absolutely shocked by it. But when it comes to the leaks, I'm like, it's interesting that what we found out. Like, we found out that Sunset Overdrive only made like $600 in profit.
Oh well,
so,
no, I saw somebody post in the Discord. I didn't find this thing that the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart didn't make any money. Like, actually lost money.
No, yeah, it hasn't made even. It hasn't broke even apparently.
Yeah.
And Sunset Overdrive only made them like $600. And another thing that they found out was how cheap it is for PlayStation to port these things to PC.
Right.
Which is why they feel like they're probably throwing a lot of those in there, because it costs them nothing, and then they don't advertise them that often. So it's like, oh, this is just easy money at that point for them.
Yep.
And so it helps in that sense. And then the things that we don't find like weird, but it turns out on the business side turns out to be a bad thing. Like that stuff I mentioned that we talked about with the
contracts,
the contracts and the deal they made.
Right.
People can use that information into negotiations with Disney to be like, I want that, but for like that thing kind of thing.
Sure.
And that makes it trickier for Disney to make negotiations. So that, but that I don't give a shit about that stuff. But that's the side that like I find interesting, that doesn't hurt anybody, that aren't just people. And then there's the other side where it's just like, that should never have happened to begin with.
Are you mad? If this timeline is correct, are you mad that you're going to have to wait through a Venom game and a Wolverine game until you get another Spider-Man game? Because like Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 1 aren't that far apart.
No.
Right? But like Spider-Man 3 looks like it's going to be, like, that can's getting kicked, baby.
Well, the thing is that there's so many things that are Spider-Man related that I look forward to every year.
Sure.
That it hasn't been an issue.
Yeah.
Like, because like we're still waiting on, for Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Right.
It's coming out. I'm still reading all these comics. Like, I never don't have anything kind of thing. And even if I want to play those games, I just do them again. I played the first one like 10 times.
Yep.
And on one of the on 3 of those, I just made comic book covers with the photo mode.
Yep.
Because I felt like it.
Hell, you got a gaming PC now. They're going to be putting that shit out in 2024 on the gaming PC. You get yourself a nice 120 hertz monitor.
I'm just going to be doing that over and over again forever. Like I played Maximum Carnage for like 15 years straight. and
so don't worry about Michael.
I don't have to worry about it.
Michael's got Spider-Man games. You don't worry about Spider-Man.
I got Spider-Man for days, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
There's plenty of comics I've never read from his time frame.
Yeah.
If I could get my hands on them, I would definitely read them all.
Let's see. I think that some of that, and then. Yep, we talked about that. Some developers sent out like condolences to Insomniac.
Yeah.
Like Remedy specifically talked about that.
Like everybody's
like
very annoyed. Like, like all the developers are just like, man, fuck all of you guys.
Yeah.
Like this like, because there are people that are very just like, look at all this stuff, and they're like spreading it around. Like the build is like highly illegal to access.
Oh, sure.
You're not supposed to mess with that at all.
Yeah.
But people on Twitter are like, watch my YouTube video of me illegally playing this thing. By the way, I want to be a developer. Like, no one is going to hire you now, bud. You just yelled all that out loud.
What was that this year where the guy like stole the was it Tears of the Kingdom or something from a shipment, and then was like
he went
live
to work
streaming himself mailing it out, and then he got fired, and everybody was like, "Oh, you sons of bitches!" And I was like, "No, don't stream yourself."
Yeah, he went to work. I don't remember if this was the same guy, but he went to work for like Amazon.
Something
and,
like
took
that.
a bunch of them with him, and then resigned like a day later, and then did all that. And people were like, "What did you think was going to happen?"
I'm more worried about the people on the internet who are like, "Oh, greedy corporations hammered on the little guy," and it's like, guys, I don't like corporations, but like, if you stream yourself doing crimes, that's your fucking fault. Like,
that's the problem with the internet is for some reason people think they're immune to crime.
Yeah,
like or not immune to crime, but immune to like the law finding them for doing
like
crimes.
The police will never watch twitch.tv / my first name last name.
Yeah, they think they put it on TikTok and they're just like, now that gives me diplomatic immunity. They're like, right. What are you talking about?
Well, speaking of leaks, this is a much smaller leak. I don't know if you saw this, Michael, but this is really inconclusive. Okay, so we've all been looking for Elden Ring DLC. I made myself sad during the Game Awards because I thought they would end with the Elden Ring DLC.
We all do that
trailer.
Every time we watch a Game Awards. We're like, X thing is going to be there, and then it's not, and then you're sad.
I know better. I'm old enough to know better, and yet I did it to myself. So last week there was a whole weird thing that happened, and specifically it was this advertisement that went up. What the fuck? What do you want? What do you want from me again?
It's a mega link. Because I guess they started taking down the leaks.
There was this controller that there was a limited edition, like Elden Ring themed controller. There were 2 of them that were being made, and the advertisement page for it had like it showed Elden Ring and it showed the availability, or it showed the availability of the thing, and then it said availability February 2024 asterisk, and then that asterisk below said sync with new quote Shadow of the Erdtree quote expansion release. And so people, this is not like conclusive,
no,
but the idea that it's like, well, February would be the 2-year anniversary of Elden Ring, right? It would, and From Software also they don't do as much like Game Awards stuff. I mean,
they're not known for hyping things.
Yeah,
and if they are, it's usually the first announcement of the game,
or they'll just put trailers up. Like they don't have to coincide with Summer Game Fest or things like that.
I don't even remember. The first Elden Ring trailer was an E3 thing.
Xbox, yeah, I think that was an Xbox. Correctly? Yeah,
and it was just like a quick thing, and no one knew what it meant.
Yep, it was a cinematic.
Being absolutely confused by the whole thing.
People started making up lore, to speculate on.
Because we didn't hear anything for years.
Yeah. The same thing also, there was another piece of this that had, let's see, an additional note in the product sheet. There was a reference to, quote, 2025 Elden Ring major key beat or new game expansion, unquote. And so, again, this is not clear. This could mean that they're shooting for 2025. That seems like a bit much for Elden Ring. Like, I know that
it's
Elden Ring
interesting thing to do for a game like that.
Like 3 years past getting an expansion is a little bit much for. I mean, I guess like it could be. Knowing From Software, though, it's going to come out in 2025, and then it ends up being like it doubles the size of the map type of thing. Like
that's true.
It's just another Elden Ring in your Elden Ring if you buy this expansion. So, but it's very inconclusive. So now I'm going to get my hopes up for February of 2024, and then when it doesn't come out, it will be nobody's fault but my own for getting my hopes up live on the air.
I feel like there's a good chance this will happen, only because that stuff makes some sense to me. And in a 2-year time frame would make sense for working on something to release like that.
Yeah,
because it's very rare, not very rare, but it's rare nowadays for a DLC to release within the same year.
Yeah,
unless they were working on it to begin with, like with the Spider-Man one, the very first Spider-Man stuff. All that stuff was clearly being worked on. At the same time, because all that stuff came out within a very short period.
Mm-hmm. It really, and there's. They have done some big updates for Elden Ring to kind of add like mechanics and stuff back into the game. Yeah. So they have been kind of working on it, but and I guess they're also working. You know what? I just need to know how many people fucking work at FromSoft, because it's possible that it was like, okay, we're done with Elden Ring. We've had a skeleton crew working Armored Core 6. Now the entire team is going to work on Armored Core 6. Okay, Armored Core 6 is out. We're going to leave a skeleton crew on that. Now everybody get working on the expansion. And considering Armored Core 6 came out this year, if they only work on one thing at a time, which I don't think is the case, but if they are only working on one thing at a time, I can see that might be, like, if they just started working on Elden Ring expansion this year, that could be 2025.
That's true. And it's very possible, especially depending on what is going to happen with that expansion.
Yeah.
So like you said, if it could literally be an entire other section or set of quests or whatever.
Yep.
In a way that like would add another 30 hours to the game.
It's a different type of expansion. Since it's an open world game, is you're adding like new areas or reworking existing areas or something, as opposed to just like, I made 3 new castles and hallways that connect them to the other castle type of thing. So,
like, one of the things, as far as we know, I don't know. Did this ever come out? Was the multiplayer arena thing that ever happened?
Yeah, they added all that.
Okay, so that probably was just like the appetizer stuff. So this stuff definitely will be the much bigger expansion stuff.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes.
Well, speaking of Armored Core and Elden Ring, this week, this was leaked, but this week they put out the 1.05 update for Armored Core that added like a bunch of new stuff. It added a ranked multiplayer mode where it's got like leaderboards online, that like publicly accessible leaderboards. It's got like character portraits that you could put on, and then not just that, but if you're not into PvP, it added some new maps to PvP. These are all just existing maps in the game, but they just added them to the PvP modes. But then they also added one whole new set of mech parts, like head, arms, torso, legs, and then they added 2 new weapons. They added the plasma hand weapons, and then Michael and I were actually watching somebody play with they added shoulder chain guns, and we were watching somebody fight a boss with shoulder chain guns and hand chain guns simultaneously. Pretty sure those things are going to get nerfed.
They
pretty sure they're going to get nerfed
with what they did. They know what they did.
Yeah,
at least I thought they would have known what they did.
Yeah. So, there's also a few more things. Pulse missile launchers, and this heavy machine gun, the attaché heavy machine gun, Gatling cannons, laser cannons, and then a new tetrapod. So, and all that shit's free. They just added it in. I like that FromSoft is kind of leaning, like you were just talking about the arena modes, that they're actively supporting the PvP components as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's so interesting to see a company that kind of seems to care equally about both sides of the equation. Like, as opposed to somebody who only seems to care about the multiplayer or single player.
I'm happy that they did that because they know how feverent both sides of it are for them.
Yeah,
because there's some sides that are just like, there's some games where they ruin both sides by making it to where everything is relied on what the multiplayer changes, and I'm glad that they've separated the ideas while letting both sides have their fun. Yeah,
that was one of the best things they did in Elden Ring, was when they split the damage values from the single player and the multiplayer to basically be like, these are tuned differently. So that shit came out this week. Full patch notes are online. There's a bunch of bug fixes and changes to a bunch of different guns and stuff like that. Who knows how this will impact Matt and I's full playthrough of Armored Core 6, which should have premiered by this point. So
many Gatling guns.
I'm really looking forward to it. We did 2 40-minute episodes. We barely managed to get, because like the problem with when we go back to do a game for a sequential that we've already done dojos for is that like after 2 episodes we finally got out of where we were when we were playing the dojos for it. So
that's the hard part with those.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of games getting updates, the God of War Valhalla DLC got an update this week. And this is interesting. This is an update to make the game even harder than it was before.
So what is it that it does?
It just apparently ups. Well, let's see. Increases the difficulty of, quote, some arena challenges, unquote. But it's not specific.
Okay.
So it fixed, like, and the only thing is it lowered the difficulty the first time you get to the final boss of the DLC, but then I think it raised the difficulty of some of the challenges. I think that this was because, I mean, like, I'll be honest, you've played it, I played it. there's like a real tipping point in that mode where like when you kind of after you put about an hour into it where you're just like, you guys fucking suck. I rule this fucking place.
Yeah,
like
it turns out you're all a bunch of bitches.
Right. I own Valhalla.
Yeah.
Oh no, the difficulty went up by 1 notch. Ooh.
I think I've almost died once.
I'm on 12 out of 6 optional encounters at this point, and I don't have anything to spend your optional currency on anymore because everything is so fucking maxed out that I'm throwing power-ups away. Like, come on!
Yeah, the only time I've lost a run, and I'm using quotey fingers, is because the game glitched and Kratos fell through the world.
Yep.
And I could do nothing but restart.
Yep. I've done a couple. I've fucked around too hard and found out a couple of times, and there were a couple of those end boss configurations that I was like, and I kind of lost it. But
I got real close on a couple almost dying. But
yeah,
I always somehow eked it out without any issue because I have the resurrection stone that you can get early on.
Yep.
And I've never used it so far.
Yep. I've used it a couple times. Mostly for those fucking centaurs. I hate the centaurs so much.
Centaurs are assholes. I just throw shit all the time.
I like this, though. I like the fact that they're making it harder. And then so I loaded it up today to see if it was any harder. And then I whooped that game's ass, and I finally maxed out the 4 things that I hadn't maxed out yet. So everything is now maxed in that game, except for there's like 2. I need the keys to unlock a few more cosmetics. But like all the stats, maxed. All the drop rates, those are all maxed. So.
It's a fun time.
It's a good game. Yeah, if you guys haven't played it, it's really fun. It's definitely. I mean, I said it last week to Amanda. They could have charged for this shit.
That's the thing.
They could have charged me $10 and I would have paid it.
A lot of news stories are like, how was this free thing?
Yep.
Because it had a bunch of story stuff and it was a great celebration of Kratos as a character.
Yep.
And it was just fun. Like they could, like anything that I thought it was going to be like a thing that would have lasted an hour or two since it was free. And I'm still fucking with the thing.
That combat engine is so fucking good.
It's so much fun.
It's so good. And
David Jaffe can go fuck himself.
That's true. It's true.
His weird ass opinions. Those old God of War fans, your opinions are weird too. Fucking crazy people.
Speaking of Sony online things, The Last of Us multiplayer game has been canceled.
Oh no. Anyways.
Yes. Actually, you know what? The thing is that like I know I don't think that anybody's going to be super duper butt mad about this, but I like the okay. I like the reason that they did this.
Or their explanation, at least.
But on the other side, the explanation is like, well, fucking duh.
Yeah.
Like, they started looking at it, and apparently what they found was that, like, oh, well, if we do this and it's a live service game, all of our resources are going to have to go to maintaining this live service game and not working on whatever our next game is, to which, as before, I answer, yeah. Like, fucking, yes, that's what you sign up for when you make a live service game, or...
That's the first thought you're supposed to have when making one.
Yeah. You're going to need personnel to keep putting out content for this, because otherwise people will stop playing it.
Fortnite's team is like a bajillion people for just their thing.
Right. So, like... Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're...
What did you think was going to happen?
Like, yeah, what the fuck did you think was going to happen?
I'm picturing that fucking Tobias meme where they're like, they always fool themselves into thinking it'll work for them.
But maybe
But it never
for
does. But it might work for us.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, the idea that it's like, how long have you guys been fucking working on this? And then a lot of people on the internet were like, why did you make it a live service?
Yeah.
If you just made it a multiplayer game, like Call of Duty with like maps.
All the people who are mad about it being canceled aren't mad that it was a live service game got canceled. They're mad that the thing that they actually wanted was never happening.
Just multiplayer mode.
They just wanted the first game's multiplayer expanded on.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
That was all they wanted.
You don't need like battle passes and all this horse shit. You could have just done that and you could have sold it. I'm kind of surprised that they don't do that. Take what they got handed to a third-party team. Get Bend Studios. They're not making Days Gone 2. That guy's salty as fuck. Make him finish this thing and put it out.
There's so many things that you could have done with it and still release something, because you had something guaranteed that everyone was wanting to do, and then you got cold feet because your dumb live service idea was never going to happen. Sony wanted to make 12 live service games.
Yep. That's definitely one of them.
Of what, 2025 or 26 or something like that?
It's 25 or 26.
I don't remember. It was something like pretty like when I first found out about it, it felt like a long way, but now it's not, and I think that's the funniest fucking thing on the planet.
It must be really weird to be an executive who's like, what makes money? And everybody's like, live service games. And you're like, okay, green light, a dozen live service games. We got to get into this market. This is where all the money is. And then like halfway through the like first year of them developing, so it was like, sir, it turns out the entire bottom has dropped out of this particular sector of the gaming industry, and nobody can make any money in it. It's like,
there's only
Jenkins, you told me that these were going to make us shitloads of money.
There's only like 3 guys who are still doing it, and it killed the Avengers.
Yep.
So I don't think we're going to make it work for us.
Yep. Kill the Avengers. It's probably going to end up killing Destiny. It's probably in the long run going to be the thing. Like, this is the 100%. Turning point where Destiny is going to get gutted out. And
the only 2 that seem to be working right now is, of course, Fortnite.
Sure.
And even then, they're kind of sketchy with it.
But Fortnite's competitive, you know, as opposed to like the PvE live service model. Like, that's when I think it gets like, because Avengers didn't have a PvP mode.
Well, the Last of Us Online was going to be a lot of PvP stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, and the only other one was is Apex Legends, I guess, because I've never heard anything good or bad on that one so far. And PUBG apparently is still hanging in there somehow.
Siege. I mean,
Warhammer's doing really well, I think, but that has a lot of PvE stuff.
Yeah.
So that one, like Warhammer seems to be the one that has like all the everythings.
Wait, Warhammer?
Not Warhammer.
Warzone.
No, what was the name of it? Warframe.
Warframe
is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Because they have both a PvE and a PvP thing.
Yeah.
And Fortnite does technically, but their PvE is not as well like known, I guess.
Sure.
The people who play it, because I've done a few of them, but that's not. Also, they tend to be kind of limited, anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, part of me wants them to keep going, just because, like, the big thing right now that 2023 is the year where I've started to hate the like. I like when Fortnite puts people from put Solid Snake in their thing. I'm tired of it being what everybody does. Yeah. I'm tired of the Final Fantasy VII Apex Legends crossover. I'm tired of fucking Pickle Rick in like Rainbow Six Siege or Skeletor in Call of Duty, where I'm just like,
Call of Duty ones make me laugh the most because because they're realistic ones looking, and that's what makes it creepy. Yeah, because Fortnite has a very specific art style where you can put almost anything in there and it works. Mm-hmm. Whereas Call of Duty is like if me and you were walking down the street and we ran into that Pickle Rick, we would be scared, kind of thing.
Like, I kind of want them to keep this going, because they're going to have this like ultra violent, ultra realistic, and then they're going to have to resort to multiverse shit in order to sell it. So it's going to be like fucking, I don't know, Garfield in The Last of Us 2 multiplayer, getting like an arrow driven into his skull, or you know,
you'd get some weird shit because everyone has to do it eventually. Apparently.
Let's see. Speaking of live services, Michael, the story for Justice League or Suicide Squad Kills Justice League gets leaked online. You got to watch out. Watch out for the spoilers.
Oh,
the spoilers.
I found them.
Oh, okay. Well, don't tell me about them.
I went out of my way to find them because I didn't want to play the game.
I kind of figured you might do that.
And so what I did, I was like, well, that does sound stupid, but at the same time, what did I expect from Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League?
Sure. Yeah. So this is mostly I actually went through a couple of different articles, because some of the articles that I had were like, and then now I'm going to tell you what they are. And I'm like, don't tell me. I just like the headline is like, watch out, everybody. There's Suicide Squad spoilers on the internet. And then that news article at the bottom would have those spoilers in it. And I'm like, don't warn me at the beginning. The title of this article should be, do you want to know what the Suicide Squad spoilers are? Here they are. Like,
they really should have. A lot of them don't, but it's really funny.
It's fortunately that I don't. I just like, I read the news with half glazed eyes, like without coffee, before I get my coffee. So I'm just like, what does that say? Batman? No, wait. It's all the word bat. I can't go any further.
Well, because everybody's like mad about, because like, okay, here's the deal. Like, people die because it's named Kills the Justice League. Like, when you fight the bosses, you kill the bosses, kind of thing.
Don't tell me.
And so that's what it is. And so some people are mad about stuff, and they're just like the Kevin Conroy thing.
Don't tell me.
Is really funny to me, because everybody just like, Batman has this thing that this whole story that with him, like, that's a bad send off for Kevin Conroy. It's like, but that doesn't. They're not psychic. They didn't know Kevin Conroy was going to die.
Sure.
So they did the dumb story things that they were going to do anyways. Like, that's just what it was.
Okay, we gotta move on to this. You're already telling me too much. I actually kind of want to play this.
It's not like it's not. I'm just saying, like, the internet's like upset about it, but all the other stuff is just like it's fine, I guess. But yeah.
Let's see. Overwatch 2 is having a time, so I had to. There's one fucking thing that's exhausting about the news in this particular era.
What do they do now?
It's that I have to research shit. I have to like look up shit to find out what the fuck people are talking about. So Overwatch 2 is doing their winter thing right now. It's called Winter Fair. So Overwatch 2 Winter Fair 2023. Overwatch has decided they have this Winter Fair. They have all these skins that you can get. And they decided that the way that they wanted to do this was you would earn tickets for every match that you were in. If you were in a match, you get 1 ticket. If you win the match, you get 2 tickets. And that you had a certain number of tickets you get every week. You could trade these tickets in for a variety of different rewards online. There are 5 legendary skins. You got to do the math here. Stick with me. You can only, without buying the battle pass, you can only get 40 tickets per week, which is enough for 1 legendary skin. If you buy the battle pass, which is 500 coins, which is $5, you can get 480 in addition to the 120, which is enough for 4 legendary skins. There are 5 legendary skins here. So even if you pay them for their micro battle pass and you play a shitload of Overwatch 2 for the next 4 weeks, you will not make enough tickets to be able to buy all the legendary skins.
So you literally can't get all of the skins. And by the way, those skins aren't the only things on here, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of like other things to the side of them.
Yep.
That if you use those tickets on them, you couldn't get any of those things.
Yes. And so... so one of the what's this guy, the producers, I think, online, like somebody was complaining about it, and their response was, it's $5 for 4 legendary skins, which feels squarely in the spirit of the holidays to me. I hear you on wanting to be able to unlock everything. We wanted to give folks a choice and rewards they got from this event. We'll be interested to see if FOMO overshadows that benefit. And I think this was from somebody that, and then the response, like the upvoter response was like, yeah, you're right. If you were really about the spirit of the season, you would just let us get all 5 of them if we give you the money to want to get the skins for the game. Like, what are you doing, guys? Like, what are you doing?
This is another example of Overwatch killing their brand.
Yeah. Like, for greed.
For no reason.
Greed.
It's not even greed because they don't have an option to have more money given to them to get the 5th one.
Sure.
Because that's what would make it greed. This is just stupid.
Yeah, true. But the thing is that what irks me the most about this is that I had to go look all this shit up in order to figure out what the fuck they were talking about in this news article with like the coins and the fucking event and the tickets and the number of things per week that you could blah, 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 blah.
Here's the deal, Jeff. Overwatch now is no longer a shooter for people.
Yeah.
It's just a place to find models to use for pornography.
Well, if that's the case, let me pay $10 and just get all of fuck the tickets. Let me buy the tickets. I need more porno models. Come on.
That's all it comes down to now. Overwatch porn is the future.
Yeah.
Nobody actually wants to play the game anymore. It's now overshadowed the actual point of Overwatch.
Absolutely.
Because look at that fucking thumbnail. Yeah. That is a pornography ass tracer. I bet you if I looked at Pornhub on five videos with just that tracer alone.
Yep. Yeah, so that happened. We also got some other Activision Blizzard news. Activision Blizzard settled their sexual harassment lawsuit for $55 million. However, this came with a bit of a caveat. So,
is the caveat they're allowed to just sexually harass from here on?
Yeah, kind of.
That sounds about right.
So this was the California Civil Rights Department who had brought this suit against them, and this was one of those suits that was like mainly a suit based on like if you're a lady and you work there, they're not going to promote you no matter how long you work there. You're not going to get up into the upper echelons. And so what they were suing for was basically like having their career held back by the fact that you're a woman and not a man because they want to just promote dudos.
Yeah.
So they did that. So they ended up settling. They paid $55 million. 45.75 is going to directly compensate people. The rest is going to attorney's fees. However, to come to this agreement, the lawsuit had to be amended so that like the complaint that said Activision Blizzard is engaging in sexual harassment against like people had to be taken out.
Oh, geez.
Now, part of this is because. Okay, I'm reading between the lines here, so I could be wrong. And like, don't get me wrong, I fucking hate Activision Blizzard, so I'm not like up on their side or whatever.
No, yeah.
I think that they did their investigation and couldn't find enough that if they were to take the whole thing to trial, they would be able to concretely prove that there wouldn't have been another explanation that could have put, you know, a shadow of doubt in jurors' minds, that they wouldn't have been able to absolutely nail down that 100% that is what happened. And then they could have ended up losing the entire thing and nobody got compensated. And so this way, at least the people who got fucked get money, like they get compensation.
No, I could see it being that way because a lot of the people who probably were the ones causing these things are probably not there anymore.
Yeah,
some of them were fired for these exact reasons. So the investigation probably hit some dead ends once they're like, hey, where's so and so? They're like, oh, they haven't been here for like a month or something. And like, well, I guess we can't look into that lead or this lead or that lead because they're not private citizens, so it's probably not easy to like knock on their door and be like, hey, could you tell us if you're sexually harassing somebody?
Right.
They don't really have a reason to tell them anymore.
Yeah.
So at this point, yeah, it's probably more of a plea deal type thing.
Yeah.
To get the funds or to get something from it. And I'm guessing Activision Blizzard was happy to be able to get rid of that to make their sale look even nicer on them.
The statement that they put out where it's just like, yes, obviously they didn't find anything, and so we're very happy that they took that off of there because there was never any improper anything that ever happened at Activision Blizzard. Great day for justice, and we're real happy everybody has been made whole again. God. Especially they specifically mentioned Robert Kotick's name in this statement.
They used his legal name too, his full legal name,
saying that you know he definitely didn't act improperly because they didn't. And you know this is one of the problems with that sort of thing. Like, I don't actually have it in here, but I don't know if you've been watching Florida Joker, who's like demanding that Rockstar give him a few $1 million because they've ripped off his likeness. He even dyed his hair purple so that it matches the guy in the trailer.
Jesus Christ.
And he's like, hey, this is your last chance, and if not, I'm going to have my lawyers come after you. And it's like, do you know how fucking hard it is to prove in the United States courts that you like identity theft like in that way? Like your tattoos on your face are different than that guy in the trailer. That is enough to throw the case out.
Yeah,
like
Lindsay Lohan tried that exact thing, and she's actually famous.
Yes. So I honestly think that they probably went back to the plaintiffs. You know what probably happened here was the California fucking legal department went back to the plaintiffs and said like, this is the offer that they gave us. Do you want to keep going with this, or do you guys all want to get like $5 million a piece? And people are probably just like, I'm tired of this shit. Just give me the $5 million.
Some of them probably were just like, I don't want to deal with it anymor.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is easier for them in that case.
But on the other hand, I do want to make it clear, like, I don't actually know that. I don't know if Blizzard engaged in these things. Like, they seem like a scummy company, but like, I don't know that. I live in Austin, Texas, and I don't work for Blizzard. So like,
here's the important thing though, is that they're now on alert.
Right.
So whenever something actually happens, if it like, and this makes it sound like it didn't happen. Again, we don't know. If something actually happens from here on out is a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
Then they have the ability to immediately shut that shit down, so they don't run into another lawsuit that will cost them $50 million.
$55 million. Yes, absolutely. And hey, you know what? You know what's going to be? We're just about out of time. We're actually out of time, but this is a good capstone. Do you know what's going to make that whole process a lot easier? Robert Kotick's retirement.
Yes.
That motherfucker says he wrote his retirement letter. I read that piece of shit. Dude, fuck that guy. Like, this is the reason why, like, I'm inclined to just be like, yeah, of course, it's a fucking den of vipers and they all suck, where he's just like, I love video games and I've loved for 20 years to, like, you know, hook up creative, talented people with, like, talented programmers so that we can make the world a better place with video games. I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you fucking didn't.
You didn't do anything.
You didn't do any of that. You were looking for money. You wanted money.
Bobby, all you did was suck. That's all you did.
You wanted money, but he's leaving. the last day. He's actually not even. I think what like
he's gone at the end of the month.
Yeah, it's like the end of the month. So
the 29th.
Yeah, the 29th. He's not working the weekend. He's not working the weekend. He's not working the 30th and 31st. But he's gone. He's out. Good. I'm very happy that this is happening because
I'm very happy. I know some people are like, why are you happy that he's like why are you happy even though like, you know, he's getting off scot-free? He's not off scot-free because his legacy is that he's a terrible fucking person.
Yeah.
And he had no amount of money in the world is going to change that in the eyes of both fans and developers.
It's kind of like the law. I mean, it's not specifically like the lawsuit. I don't want to be like callous because we're talking about like how people enjoy video games versus people who were discriminated against at work.
Yes.
But like the most important thing is he's not there
he's
anymore.
gone.
Like somebody else is in charge that is not Robert Kotick, who is like they ruined Blizzard.
They ruined a lot of things.
Activision
a lot of companies
ruined Blizzard. Blizzard Entertainment. Blizzard Entertainment was like a paragon. Or not like, okay, again, sexual harassment lawsuits, boys club, all kinds of horrible shit. But it used to be that at least...
It used to be the name of quality is what you're saying.
At least Overwatch was fun to play. And now you can't get... You got 5... outfits, you can only buy 4 of them for Christmas, and like Diablo Immortal is just a microtransaction fact. Everything's a microtransaction factory, and I blame that on this motherfucker because he seems like all he wants to do is make money. So if you get him out of there and you get some of those Microsoft people in that are like more interested in getting reputation than just, you know, the maximum amount of sales, maybe they'll go let Toys for Bob make the next Tony Hawk remaster that's a good game. Or
because that's the thing is they have so many properties
Spyro
that they haven't touched because all they do is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And that's it, like for Activision side. And the few times we got anything that wasn't that, they were remasters.
Yep.
Or they ended up becoming other live service things.
Yep.
Like that Crash Bandicoot game.
They bought Bullfrog, Dungeon Keeper, Magic Carpet, like some really good game. They bought Origin. They own Wing Commander.
Yeah.
Like they own that. They haven't done anything with it at all.
So many things.
Like
guys.
they bought so many companies that just were beloved properties. They're like Konami in a lot of ways, where like they own all these properties and they don't let anybody do anything with them, and they don't do anything with them, and so they're just like these franchise rights that are dead.
What bothers me is I think it's worse than Konami, because with Konami, what happened with Konami was more that like we aren't even going to do gaming for a while. Like they got out of the gaming game at all, or like entirely for what, like 6 years or something like that. Probably not even. Whereas Activision's just like,
EA.
we're doing...
Sorry, EA bought Bullfrog. Sorry.
Yeah, like with Activision, they're like, we still make games, but you're never going to get any of the games that we have.
Yeah.
Like you're going to buy Call of Duty and you're going to like it. And that's what frustrates me, is that like they're hoarding them. Sorry,
I got Electronic Arts and Activision. I wanted to make sure this was... you guys don't have to write the comment. Origin was also an EA thing. So, sorry, I got that confused.
But this is a good thing to mention, because it shows how annoying game development has gotten when it comes to that sort of thing. And it's just frustrating because there's so many games and so many companies that get bought out and they end up getting closed, and we're never going to see some of these properties again. Hell, it happened recently thanks to Embracer's fucking nonsense.
Oh yeah. Well, we got. Unfortunately, we have things to talk about with Embracer as well, but we'll have to do that when we come back because we are out of time for part 1. So yeah, stick around. We'll be back in a minute to talk about more gaming news. Bye. Wait, no, that's what I say at the end. We'll be right back. And Michael, we have more news. There is more news.
Why is there more news?
It's very weird.
We should never have more news.
There's so much news. I wish sometimes that there was less news.
This news should wait till next year, is all I'm saying.
We're going to go back to taking questions after 3 years of nothing but nonstop news. This is kind of a follow-on from Microsoft stuff. last week, this is actually a story from last week, but I felt like it was important enough to talk about. Apparently, Bethesda is going to be like reworking a bunch of stuff in Starfield, which I think is good. I think they should. They're specifically talking about how like there's going to be new difficulty settings, new customization options, the ability to add survival mechanics to the game, maps for cities.
That'd be great. You don't like just guessing where you're going?
No, you just open a map and it's like, well, there I am, and there's that thing, and there's just nothing to show me where the fuck I am.
I remember walking around that first city.
Yep.
I kept having to stop and look at the literal signs in the place, and being like, where the fuck am I?
Yep. Also, traversal options. Apparently, starting in February, they say they're going to have a major update every 6 weeks. I feel vindicated. I feel happy because this is another one of those like, guys, don't play this game for 2 years, okay? This is a Cyberpunk. This is a No Man's Sky. This game is not fucking finished. Like, they're going to release the mod kit next year. They're going to add new stuff to the game. This game is an early access game, no matter what they say.
I was laughing because I've been on Twitter a lot lately. I don't know why, but
you gotta get out of that place, man.
Yeah, I probably should, but I get gold like what I'm about to mention.
Yeah,
which is somebody being like, look, here's the deal about Starfield, guys. I don't think it's gonna have the cultural impact that anything else has had because I haven't seen any memes about it. I haven't seen any fucking like fan art, and I definitely have not seen any porn on this thing so far. And with Baldur's Gate 3, there was porn weeks before the game was even officially out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, come on, guys, you got to work, you got to speed some shit up.
Yeah,
you got to get those numbers up.
You got to get some porn out there. Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. Let's see. Speaking of Microsoft stuff, Sven Vincke came out on a podcast and was like, Baldur's Gate 3 will not be on Game Pass. Very specifically,
because it's a Stadia thing.
Because it's some this is fucking Larian's revenge over here. No, actually, it's really funny because what he said was basically like, we put out a fair game at a fair price without DLC or like expansion passes or battle passes, and like so we think that it's fair to ask you for money for the game that we made.
We made a game and it lasts a bajillion hours.
Yep.
I was talking to somebody a while back because I was mentioning what I was trying to figure out what my game of the year was.
Yeah.
And he's like, me and my wife have been playing Baldur's Gate 3 and we're at like 400 hours.
Yeah.
I don't even think we've gotten close to beating the game so far.
See, I don't know how you do that because I beat the game in 140 hours and I did just about everything that there was to do.
Around.
The thing is that like there's no random mobs in that game. So like once you clear the goblins out of the goblin place, they're dead. Like you can't go back and kill more goblins. So I'm like, what are you doing?
Then I have no idea.
There's no I killed everything in the Underdark. I exterminated the Underdark. There's nothing left to do in the Underdark. They're all dead. They're all dead. But yeah, I do think that this is very good. This is very good. And Larian also said the thing about Game Pass is that like you make the deal and you get the money, right? But like if you are going to end up selling like a blockbuster game like Baldur's Gate, you might end up making way more if you keep the money, right? As opposed to taking the upfront thing and then losing all of the Xbox sales.
The thing about taking the upfront is it makes sense when you don't think you're going to do that well to begin with.
Right.
Like with what was the name of the one where it looks like an old medieval book?
Pentiment.
Yeah. Pentiment was a perfect example of needing that upfront cost so they can just, to go from there. Because that game was not going to be a gangbuster. Like, sure, it's a good game, but it wasn't going to be a gangbuster.
It's a well-regarded underground hit that the general public is not going to play at all.
Yeah, exactly. But if this was like, say, fucking Spider-Man 2,
right?
They don't need that. Like, they know they're going to make a shit ton of money out the gate. And so Baldur's Gate 3 probably originally didn't know they were going to, but now that he definitely knows, he's like, then I definitely don't need this shit on Game Pass.
Yeah, in fact, who knows? They might have succumbed unless it was offered like post-launch, right? Like after it's fucking game of the year that then Phil Spencer is like, hey guys, how much to get on Game Pass? That's all right, Phil.
No,
that's
good.
all right,
We're
Phil.
good now.
We're cool.
If they would have asked them, before it came out, they probably would have been cool with it. But the other issue is they couldn't even get the fucking thing to work on an S console.
Well, there is that, yeah. And apparently, I've been talking to Amanda's playing it on the Xbox Series X and said that it's got a lot of problems. So, in fact, I was showing Amanda some stuff on the PC version. I was just like, here's Carlac. Go get Carlac. And Amanda was like, oh man, I'm watching you play this thing with a mouse and a keyboard. It looks so much better than playing with a controller. And I'm just like, yeah, it is. It is. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
yeah, that game is a keyboard and mouse type game.
Yep.
That's one of the main reasons why originally I wasn't going to play it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a gaming PC. Now that I do, I have considered it. But now it's like, do I have the time?
Well, we were just talking about if you need a game that lasts for a while,
That's true.
Baldur's Gate is there for you. I was asking in the Discord about like what games should I go back and play to catch up on from 2023 that I haven't already played, and somebody was like, you play Baldur's Gate again, and I'm like, no.
That's not catching up. That's just playing Baldur's Gate 3 again.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Let's see. Another, like, we got some kind of like big names news here. Did you read this article, this interview with Hideki Kamiya?
I meant to, but we had a very busy week at work.
Okay. This was really interesting because dude, I love this guy.
I've always loved Kamiya.
He's really great.
He's the best.
Because he left Platinum and he started up his YouTube channel, and like he's just kind of free to do whatever the fuck he wants to. And apparently he didn't sign any kind of like NDA or anything with Platinum, because there was this whole interview with him.
Which is interesting, because when he first left, he made it seem like he did.
Yeah. He talked about, okay, so the big thing is like, why did you leave? And here's what he said. My work with Platinum Games was based on a relationship of trust with the company. I decided to leave because I felt that the direction the company was heading in was different from my beliefs as a developer. Without that element of trust, I couldn't continue working there, and so I left so that I could continue working in what I consider to be the right way. I don't think of games as products, but rather as works of art. I want to put my artistry into games and deliver games that could only be made by Hideki Kamiya so that players can enjoy Hideki Kamiya games exactly as they are. I decided to leave the company and forge my own path to continue making games that reflect the developers who made them. So like, it sounds like when you look at a lot of like Platinum's like sequels / tie-in games, they did like the Ninja Turtles and the Korra and all those one. It's like, and I can imagine him just being like, guys, I don't want to make another Bayonetta, and I don't want to make another fucking like Nickelodeon game. I want to make the game that I want to make. Yeah. And they're just like, well, it's not going to sell well enough. And he's like, well, I don't care if it sells.
He's like, yeah, these are just like, I want to make, because that's how he's always been.
Right.
You look at his stuff from Capcom and stuff, you're like, these were not ideas that were considered gangbusters at the time.
Yeah.
Like, no one expected Devil May Cry to turn out the way they did originally. It was supposed to be a Resident Evil game.
Right.
Like, and then he just turned it into something else. Yep. And then the same with fucking Beautiful Joe and all those things. Mm-hmm. Like, everything he makes is so uniquely him, and is very much what he said. It's art to him, and a lot of it shows in the love that he has for it. Because even the games that he makes that don't do well, they have great cult followings from the love that's put into them.
Yeah.
But then you look at the games that aren't like that, like you said, the Ninja Turtles game specifically, you're just like, there was no love put into this cooking thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's cool. They asked him like what he's been doing since he left. And he's like, oh, I spent like a month just like watching TV and movies and just like laying on my couch, not doing anything. And they're like, do you have a new game in mind? He's like, yeah, I do. It's a really good interview, by the way. It's like, I've read a lot of like boring interviews, and this one was like, this is an interesting guy that's a good game developer, and he's got a lot of interesting ideas about what he wants to do next. Apparently he's already got like an idea for what he wants his next game to be. He's talked about how like, like going out of the gates. What was this one where... Yeah, he says he's got the next game. One thing, here's another quote from the interview. One thing I would like to make clear is that I did not quit Platinum Games so that I could make a particular game elsewhere, or that I quit the company to work with a specific partner under better conditions. I hear baseless rumors saying that I'll be working with this or that person, but nothing is decided yet. When I left Platinum Games, I genuinely had no other plans lined up. After I quit, I spent some time just lying around watching movies and TV shows. When I started to think about it, I found I already had a clear idea of what I wanted to make. I can't start putting these ideas into action yet, but I've started to think about ways to potentially make them happen. That said, said, making games rarely goes the way you imagine, so I want to explore my options and find the route that works best for me. I really hope that this ends up being kind of like I think that I like Hideo Kojima, right? But I think that Kamiya, like, somebody needs to do what they did with Hideo Kojima and just be like, here's the money dump truck. What do you want to make? Like, we just want Microsoft needs to walk up with the money dump truck and say, what do you want? Make an Xbox exclusive. I don't care what it is. Just make an Xbox exclusive.
The only problem with that is I don't think he trusts the Microsoft after what happened
Probably not.
the first time they did that.
Oh, with the scale bound?
Yeah, because they literally did do that to him once, and they're like, I don't know. They had second thoughts, and then they fucked the whole thing.
But then who knows whether he had an idea that they got stymied because of internal conflicts at Platinum, right?
That's
if he was by himself. But I don't know, man. Like, here's the thing. If Suda51 and fucking Swery can get to keep making games, like this guy should get to keep making games.
Kamiya absolutely should still get to keep making games. The only wish list I have for Kamiya, and this is a super long shot, is I want Capcom to fucking get their shit together and be like, will you finish the fucking Beautiful Joe trilogy?
Oh,
because Beautiful Joe 3, because Beautiful Joe 2 ends on a cliffhanger. And they've never made anything ever again with it, and it frustrates me to this day.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, didn't he do all the work for that kaiju game that?
Yeah, that was supposed to be the third of his big old like Sentai series,
right? Because
Beautiful Joe is considered the first of it,
and then
the Wonderful 101,
yeah,
and then he's doing like they announced the Ultraman type one,
right?
Which is why I thought it was interesting that he left, because that game never came out.
I wonder if he just kind of did all the design docs and story stuff, and then they're just going to do it without him, type of thing.
So,
but
because we haven't heard anything about it since.
True, I haven't heard anything from Platinum in a while.
I don't remember the last thing.
No, never mind. The last thing they made was that horrible live service game where there was one guy playing last year that got shut down. Babylon's Fall. Yes.
I feel like that might have been Kamiya's last straw. He's like, we did that. What is wrong with us?
Now it's all falling into place. I just remember that Platinum made that Babylon's Fall, and that he probably had to work on that, and was just like, fucking no more. Like, I'm leaving.
This is soulless. It's so soulless. I don't want anything to do with this anymore.
Yep. Okay. Well, speaking of Hideo Kojima is making a Death Stranding movie with A24.
He's finally getting his wish.
Finally doing it.
He's finally making a movie.
Finally doing it.
That's all he's ever wanted in life. Not even kidding. That's literally all he's ever wanted.
There's no director attached just yet, but there's some like production folks in there. Yeah. I think apparently it's not going to be like a direct 1-to-1, right? It's not going to be like,
it would be impossible to do that.
Well, I don't know. Gus Van Sant might be able to make a.
Actually, yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, he might be the only guy I think could make that shit work.
But I think
maybe a David Lynch.
A24 has been going in a slightly like there was some news about them where they talked about they want to do more like action movies. Like, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once did so well for them that they wanted to try some new stuff.
Well, they want to get more of the general audience movies that aren't just horror, because horror, as mainstream as horror is, it is also one of the most niche audiences that's still out there at the same time.
Yep.
Like, you're not going to get the mothers and the dads and the stuff watching that unless they were already into horror.
I talk with my dad every week about the movies that we watch, and I'm always like, there's been a bunch of really good horror movies, and I'm like, oh, this was good. He's like, I don't watch horror. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And like, it's easier to convince, like, say your dad or something to watch like the next fucking Rambo movie than it would be like another horror movie.
So far, it's unclear whether any of the actors, the actual actors that are in Death Stranding will be in the game. Apparently, it's going to take place in the same universe.
I could see some of them making it in there. I don't see some. There's some specific ones like Troy Baker. I don't see them getting him.
Sure.
Because he's not exactly a big name. And A24 is able to get some pretty big talent for very little.
Yep.
Which is one of the reasons they've done so well for themselves, I feel.
Yep. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I do think that A24, of all places, might be able to actually make a good Death Stranding movie. I say that with a lot of trepidation. Like, I'm not like 100%, but if this was like 20th Century Fox, I would be like, oh no, or Warner Brothers, for God's sake.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
well, because we're at the point where we have to be worried about that. Because when Blumhouse announced, I think it was Blumhouse, they were the ones who made the Five Nights at Freddy's one.
Right.
A lot of us were like, well, if anybody could pull this off, it'll be Blumhouse. And then the movie came out, and then most of us didn't like it.
Yeah, but it made so much fucking money. Like, it made so much. It's like the games. It made so much fucking money.
But that's what we like. But that's what I mean. Like, it comes down to the fact, like, is it going to? Will it be a good movie? And with Five Nights at Freddy's, you could get away with that not being a good movie.
Sure.
One, because it's a horror game or horror series, and two, the phone games weren't exactly like, here's this big sprawling story, unless you really looked into it.
Yeah.
Where Kojima is like, here's this big sprawling story, and there's a game in there somewhere.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it trickier with his stuff than the other way around.
Sure. Let's see. Speaking of things that might actually have a director. I don't know if you saw this, Michael, but apparently Zack Snyder was asked if he would direct a Fortnite movie.
Oh, God.
And he said, yeah, because apparently he loves Fortnite. Apparently he plays exclusively with the Mr. Meeseeks skin.
Oh, my God.
Which I'm just like, you sociopath, you psycho.
I'm Zack Snyder. Look at me, he says. He shoots you from a distance.
You know what? I'll be real honest here. I want to see it. Because
absolutely,
I don't give a shit what he does with Fortnite. Like, let him go. Like, the worst case scenario would be A24 is making a Death Stranding movie and Zack Snyder's been attached to direct it, and I'd be like, no,
that would be horrifying. I legitimately would want to see Zack Snyder's Fortnite.
Yeah,
because that shit. Because Fortnite. Okay, I know Fortnite has a story, but I couldn't tell you what it is. I don't fucking know half the time.
It's bugged.
The current story is a banana got kidnapped by a furry.
Yep.
So I don't really know what's going on.
Yep.
So sure, let's do this.
Yeah. If anybody should have free reign to make up some bullshit, and then do a bunch of action sequences that 14-year-olds will like, hey, Zack Snyder's got you covered.
Honestly, the only real thing I want is him not to be the writer of it. That's kind of it.
You know, I was really sad today, Michael, because I was thinking I was going to go watch that Julia Roberts movie, and I was like, is that Zack Snyder movie on Netflix? Because I really could.
Oh, Rebel Moon?
I really could, like, clean out the year by being like, and then the last podcast is going to include 40 minutes of just Jeff bitching about Zack Snyder yet again. And no, it doesn't come out until, like, after we record this podcast. So
I just know some people who've seen it for, like, review stuff, and they're all just like, no.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. Ooh, 2024 is going to be Jeff's.
That's going to be the first thing he talks about in the podcast.
There's going to be
talk about Rebel Moon.
Well, the sequel comes out next year, right? I got to get ready for the Rebel Moon Part 2,
Isn't
right?
there like a tie-in comic or something?
I don't fucking know.
I feel like there is.
Fucking know. Star Wars fanfic bullshit. Let's see, other video game personalities. David Szymanski. Did you see this with Iron Lung?
I saw this on Twitter, actually.
This was fucking great.
I love it.
David Szymanski, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Basically, Iron Lung, he raised the price of Iron Lung from $6 to $8 on Steam. And people came at him a little bit on Steam, and he tweeted, since people keep trying to gotcha me over this, once again, Iron Lung's price went up because the game is worth $8, so I want to charge $8 because I want to earn more money. If you don't agree with this price, I don't want your money. Go pirate it or something. I don't care. And then somebody else responded saying that, like, he's only doing this for the money. And he said, yes, no fucking shit. I make games for a living. If I didn't want to earn money from them, I wouldn't charge money for them. Like, this is beautiful. Beautiful.
It's perfection. I think he should have done this at the peak of when Iron Lung started selling randomly a bunch of times.
Yep.
After, well, you know what happened.
Oh, yeah.
It had an increase in sales.
Yep.
And so I'm wondering if that was part of why he's like, you know what? I'm just going to make a little more money off of this.
What is this like? I like the business model. This is a quote. I like the business model of, quote, I want money, so I make something that I think is worth money, and you pay me that money, and you get the thing, and we're all happy, unquote. That's it. There's nothing complicated or hidden there. I like the idea that we're living in an age where a fucking person that makes video games has to be like, I do this for money, you yahoos. Like, I charge money for the games. I think I might have underpriced this game, so I'm charging $2 more for It's a $6 game. Like, I don't even understand anybody who would
could go on sale at any moment.
Yeah.
If he was doing this out of the kindness of his heart, all of these games would have been free.
Yeah.
And some of them you look at and you're like, I bet you this game is free, and you're like, no. Of course you got to buy Scroll Stapler.
I'm not some kind of like video game Marxist that's like, oh, you should just do it for the love of the thing. This is America, man.
No, yeah.
You got to pay your light bill and shit. Like, you got to buy McDonald's and fucking vapes, all right? Like,
as much as people say, baseball players do it for the love of the game. No, they don't.
They get paid a shitload of money for that.
They paid a lot of money to do some nonsense.
Well, and then the other thing is that this is like a small game.
Yeah, this
isn't like he raised the price of Dusk from $60 to $90.
Yeah.
He raised the cost of one indie game from $6 to $8. Like, fuck off.
Is not that much higher.
Fuck off. It is not that much. So
it wasn't like he went from 6 to 20, guys. Come on.
I think he probably looked at it and realized that when the Markiplier movie comes out, that there's going to be a new influx of people buying the game. And he get 20% more if he just jacks it up. So
and he has no issues with this because it's his product.
Yeah,
he can do what he wants with it.
Yeah, he can charge $1,000 a copy for it if he wants.
He could take it offline if he wanted to, guys. Yep. Fucking calm your tits.
You can delete it. Yep. Let's see. Games Workshop. This was a kind of a misleading headline, but Games Workshop, the people that make Warhammer 40K, in a year where a lot of people have gotten laid off, has given all of their people a 2,500 pound bonus.
Good for them.
For Christmas. This is technically profit sharing. It's baked into their like corporate contracts.
Yeah.
So they had a very good year this year, and they pass some of that along to their employees. But it's just nice to read a headline that's about like people getting more money and not people getting fired.
Well, what's nice about it is the fact that it is legitimately profit sharing. It's like, hey, we did really well.
Yeah.
You guys earned it.
Yep.
There's so many of the stories where they're like, hey, we did really, really well, but by the way, we got to cut a bunch of shit.
Right.
And it's just like, but you started with we did real well. It's like, yeah, but we could have done a lot weller. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right. It started making me think whether maybe the way to solve some of the current issues that we have with the labor market is to bring back profit sharing. Because
100%.
I worked for a bunch of companies in the 90s or in the late 90s, early 2000s that did profit sharing. And it was like, oh, if the company's doing well, you're going to get an extra check. And it was great. Like, you just were like, oh, shit, I got an extra $600 this quarter just for like the company did well. It wasn't like a huge amount. Well, I mean, this was like 1998, so it was pretty big back then. But like,
well, it's the idea is that like it gives you a reason to be more on top of things.
Right.
Whereas the current way some jobs are is that like you're like, it doesn't really matter if we make more money, I'm not making more money from it.
Sure.
It's that old meme where it's just like, if I make it, if they get another dollar, I'm not going to get another dime, so I'm going to shit on company time.
Right.
Like that's the meme.
Right.
So yeah.
That was to make you feel good, and now back down again because Embracer did more layoffs, and this time it's 3D Realms and Slipgate Ironworks.
Yeah. I want to say, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Especially because 3D Realms has just been getting fucked for a long time.
They've had a couple of things recently. They put out that they put out the bolt gun this year. Wasn't that 3D Realms? Or wait, am I wrong about that? They put out something this year.
Was it that remaster we did?
Ion Fury, Aftershock, Rip Out. Yeah, it was Kingpin Reloaded.
No.
They've got some stuff. They're doing like weird little indie bullshit. Cultic. That was the last time I remember seeing them was Cultic. But yeah, it actually turns out that other company, Slipgate Ironworks, they're the ones that did the remaster on Kingpin.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, I feel bad for you guys, but also like, that was a
Kingpin.
That was a weird choice, and it wasn't a very good remaster. Like, I kept accidentally turning it back to old graphics, and I couldn't tell the difference. You would be like, Jeff, is it back to the old graphics? Oh, yes, it is. Hold on, let me change it.
I can only tell because of the icon of the guy.
Yep.
That was the only way I could tell.
Yep.
And yeah, because the thing about 3D Realms is they used to be this huge name back in the 90s, thanks to Duke Nukem, of course. But they also had a bunch of games that came out around the same time, like Shadow Warrior,
yep,
as well as Striker, Major Striker,
Wacky Wheels,
yeah, Wacky Wheels. Like they used to be a thing that you looked forward to them making something.
Yeah,
and then ever since Duke Nukem Forever, they have not been fucking.
Probably Ghost Runner was the biggest.
I think so. Iron Fury maybe but even then, that started off not as theirs, I feel.
Yeah.
And so and they've been trying to get their name brand back up for a while, but they keep failing. Like, they wanted to make more Duke Nukem's, but the IP is like in this weird limbo that nobody knows who owns it now.
Right.
Between them and fucking Gearbox.
Oh, Gearbox. Yeah.
And then Embracer has them both now, and now nothing's still happening with it. And that frustrates me to no end.
Yeah.
But now maybe nothing will ever happen with it. So fuck.
So more layoffs. There's not a specific number at this point. But yeah, the interesting thing has just been watching, like, it's not good, but it's grimly fascinating to watch Embracer destroy a huge amount of video game history by just being bad investors.
Yes.
But one failed investment is going to be like chopping down some of the mightiest redwoods. Then they may be old and they may be sick, but they're still there. And
it's crazy to me that they didn't just try to sell them again.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these companies, they probably could have got somebody to buy, but I don't know. That's the thing that's weird about. I don't understand the business side of things as much as I wish I did.
Did you watch that video that I sent you? That Moon guy with the way that
I watched part of it.
Hype cycle thing. Yeah.
But I know a developer, or I know some people that work for development, and they've explained some of it to me as well.
Yeah.
Like what their thoughts on it. And one of them, he's a guy that I met through a mutual friend of mine, or a mutual friend of his, which is that he worked for 343 recently.
Oh, okay.
So he had a lot of stuff to say about it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and I thought that was very interesting.
It's very weird.
No, it's way more complicated than I have any idea of. That's really what it comes down to.
It's that's the thing. Anybody listening to this podcast, it's just like, I'm always on here talking like I know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I run a mid-tier fucking YouTube channel, my man. Like, I'm not a Fortune 500 CEO or anything. I don't know how to look at the curve and do a new product launch and get acquired by fucking Microsoft. Microsoft, by the way, I will sell RageSelect to you. You just let me know. Not even going to cost that much, okay?
Here's the thing, guys, though. You can always trust us to not commit charity fraud.
Sure. Absolutely. Speaking of fraud, did you see that people are paying out the ass for Day Tomorrow keys?
No. Are you serious?
Yeah. So
for the day before?
The day before. So the day before has been delisted on Steam, but there's still wild keys out there, and they're on the key marketplaces. And apparently people are paying up to $300 for the keys because they can't actually be purchased. This game will shut down. These servers are going to get taken offline. And yet it's one of those things where it's just like, I'll be honest, man, as a person who runs a YouTube channel, I was like, fuck, man, why didn't I buy that thing when it came out just so we could have put up like a, look how shitty this game is. Let's all poop on it.
Well, we thought about it.
Yeah.
But the problem was it was a bunch of games came out this year, and it was an obvious scam.
Yep.
That we were just like, I don't think we should even give them any money.
Yep. But yeah, $300 for a key for this bad game that was so bad it's driving that company out of business.
That company was just like, well, shit happens, bro. It's like, are you serious? That's your statement?
Well, but okay, listen. The thing is that I saw a lot of people that were like, I can't believe that was their statement. And it's like, I can, because I've been reading what they've said for the last year. I watched them go through that weird legal dispute with a phone app, a calendar app from like Korea. Like, they didn't bother to register their own fucking trademark. They were letting people on Discord do development for them for free. Like, there was a story I didn't even get that was talking about, it was an ex-employer who said that his whole job was vetting people from the Discord to do unpaid labor on the game, and that management was like, you're taking too long. Get more of them in there. We need more bodies on this project. And he was like, they're not qualified and I can't vet them properly. And they were like, we don't care. Just put more people into the Slack so that we can give them tasks to do. And it's just like, what have you done? What were you doing?
Send dudes. Don't you mean send nudes? No, I need more men.
Send more cops. Like,
jeez, yeah, it's such a clusterfuck, that entire thing.
Yeah,
a catastrophe, if you will.
Well, it was just so funny because it finally came out and everyone was like, "Hey guys, it turns out this game is bad," and it was just like, did you watch the videos that they put out? It looked bad before. It looked bad when what they were saying was the truth. The preview video that they put out looked bad when they weren't lying.
Yeah.
And then, it turns out it's even worse than that. Like, well, of course it's worse than that. They spent a year trying to get their copyright back from a fucking calendar company.
They also spent a lot of the lead up to the actual thing being like, look, I swear we're not a scam.
Yep.
Which you shouldn't have to say when releasing a video game.
Yep. Turns out it was a scam. Turns out it was a scam.
Turns out it was absolutely a scam.
Speaking of horrible shit going down on Steam, this is great. I love this.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah, apparently, like, right now they're doing Frostivus is like the winter event in Dota 2. And apparently, the way the Dota 2 team is handing out bans is they're sending out a bunch of packages to everybody. And like, if you haven't done anything wrong, you open the package and it's like, oh, it's an extra skin or like some bonus stuff. But if you've been found to be violating TOS, it's like a piece of coal and a ban, like a 180-day ban or something.
No, it's just I think it's an outright ban of their entire account.
This one was a month, like the one we're looking at right now.
I loved watching this one though, because I was looking at the guy's face because he was excited opening it.
Yeah,
and you can see the realization. Like you don't need the audio. You can just see his face drop down and realize what's happening, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I do like it when video game companies use their power to fuck with people who deserve what being fucked with in interesting ways. Like,
a lot of the people who were banned were doing what's called smurfing.
Yep.
Which I didn't know was a thing until I didn't know it had a name actually.
Yep.
Until fairly recently, and I think that's really funny.
It's where you create a new account so you can bash on low-level newbies, even though you're like fucking diamond ranked or whatever.
I just think it's amazing.
Yep.
That keeps happening.
I'm amazed that they're able to like track and enforce that. Like it's got to be a logistical nightmare to be like, how do you know if a person is creating a new account from scratch type of thing?
I wonder how
like
they figure that
IPs
out.
or something like that. But
I think that's the only way. Yeah.
Let's see. In other Steam news, we talked about this a little while back, but good news for all of you perverts. You can hide games in your Steam library now. So
they've been working on this for a while.
Yep. This was in beta, and now it's full on release.
Because people really didn't want people to know what they were doing.
Well, you know, when you launch a game on Steam, it tells all your Steam friends what you're playing. And so if you're playing fucking MILF Hunter, like, you know, people are gonna be like, wait, what? What are you doing?
Like, Jim, I saw you were playing hentai poker.
Right.
Why? Like, well, I really like poker, and it was the only game that had poker in it. No, that's not a thing.
No, Bitch Hunter.
Bitch Hunter.
Bitch Hunter.
With Will Ferrell?
With Will Ferrell. I'll make the Bitch Hunter game.
I'd play that game.
It's MILF Island and Bitch Hunter. That's what it is.
But it has to have a Jerry Seinfeld DLC for MILF Island. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about,
those are 30 Rock jokes.
Yes, please watch 30 Rock.
Those are 30 Rock jokes. And then what was and then like maybe the bonus round could be, what was it called? Homonym?
Homonyms?
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's the other one.
It's the other one.
That's a show I would legitimately watch, by the way.
No, it's not that one either. It's an expression like, oh, pear. I found a pear.
Let me look at that. No, never. I lose it every time I get to that part.
Yeah.
Again, I would watch the shit out of that show because that show sounds amazing.
Yep. So yeah, you can now, and they've created like a bunch of new. It's like they need to work on it, but they've created new purchase pages. I know this because I'm buying people copies of Lethal Company for no reason that you guys don't need to know anything about. Where they changed their checkout page, where there's an option where you can now buy a thing as hidden, so it doesn't show up in your activity list as having purchased it.
That's interesting.
It just goes into it's but private, basically.
That's right, you filthy perverts.
Yep. Well,
now they'll know that you're doing it anyways because it's hidden.
The thing that's interesting, Michael, the thing that's really interesting about this is that Steam is having their sale right now, but if we scroll down to new games on Steam, there's nothing coming out right now. Like, there's no big new games, so like half the shit in this page now is fucking hentai. So it's crazy.
Make their money somehow.
Yeah. Well, you know where you can't buy hentai games? The Epic Game Store.
Oh, okay. I was like, where?
Everywhere. It turns out you can't buy them everywhere.
Turns out you're not supposed to buy them usually.
But this is really interesting because, okay, the Epic Game Store doesn't allow AO-rated games on it, but they recently came into a bit of a conundrum because the ESRB reclassified 2 different blockchain games as AO because they had blockchain gambling elements within them, which immediately got them delisted from Steam because when their rating was changed in the database, it caused it to trip on Epic Game Store. Epic, not Steam. It caused them to get delisted off of the Epic Game Store. And then Epic went in and rewrote their policies to basically be like AO games with sexual content, and then relisted these 2 fucking blockchain games on their store.
That's interesting.
I'm sure that as a fledgling store, that Epic just... I'm sure that these blockchain yahoos are just shoveling money directly into their bank account, right? Like,
yeah, Epic is they haven't gotten the success they thought they were going to get off their store.
Yeah,
which honestly is their own fault, to be honest. So it makes sense that they would just try to keep as much stuff as they can.
Yes. So yeah, if you thought, I mean, like, I don't have... Epic and Steam are both, neither of them are like, I want to make sure that we exit 2023 with me saying this one more time. No company is good. Like,
no, there's no such thing as a fully good company. And if they did, they went bankrupt within the first week.
Yeah, I want Epic to exist so that Steam has a competitor, so that they do shit like what they did with the porno games or redoing their checkout pages or whatever. But that's because the only way that we as consumers can get anything is from fucking competition. So.
Competition brings up a lot of innovation.
Yep. Let's go through some trailers. We got if you're into winter events, Call of Duty is having their Santa's Sleigh Ground holiday event. That's a pretty good. I think that's a pretty good name. That's a pretty fun name. Yeah. It's basically just like they put a lot of Christmas lights on their maps and snow, and like there's like some holiday zombies. And there's like a Santa zombie or something. Bunch of like gift wrapped machine guns and elves and like yellow snowballs that you could throw at people, like
reindeer heads and stuff.
Call of Duty's become really weird, Michael. Call of Duty is really weird.
They've been weird for a long time.
They've been.
Also, was that an elf that punched a guy in the nuts?
Yes. I don't know what the fuck that is, but yes, that was what that was. But it's so weird now. They used to take themselves a little bit more seriously, and now it's just like they're totally on board the fucking like wackadoodle Fortnite train. Like,
they used to be. Well, one of the reasons they were popular to begin with is they used to be the realistic modern military shooter,
right? That
everybody was like, I love this because it's not some sci-fi thing or like attached to some sort of property. That's not the case anymore.
Yep. So that's out. However, that is nothing compared to, I know this already happened in Fortnite, but I still just can't fucking believe this shit. The latest tie-in is the Dune like kit pack. They made a Paul Atreides and a Fade Routha Dune skins.
Oh my god.
And like with their knives and everything, and I'm like, what does Dune have to do with Call of Duty, you weirdos?
Call of Duty, they call it.
You psychopaths. Like, what are you talking about? Like, God, it's so weird. It's so fucking weird. They got the Muad'Dib desert rat charm on your machine gun in Call of Duty, and I'm like, but why?
What the fuck?
This is so fucking weird. Like, okay.
Everything, it doesn't matter anymore, Jeff.
Everything is everything.
Games have hit the multiverse button.
Yeah.
And it's gone nuts.
Not only that, I didn't find it, but I swear to God, I saw a YouTube video last week that was, when they put this out, they got these 2 actors. They got Timothée Chalamet and whoever the dude is playing Fade to like come do a one-on-one Call of Duty match with their skins.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. That sounds exactly like what they would do
in a studio, and I'm just like, but why, man? Like,
because Dune got delayed too, which makes that. I bet you this was originally made for whenever it was supposed to come out.
Oh, so the writer's strike delayed it,
because I feel like it was supposed to be out by now.
Yeah,
but I can't remember if that was the case.
It's so fucking weird. Also, I don't know who the hell would want to be Fade Routha. He sucks. He sucks.
There's one guy there. There's always that one guy.
He sucks. Let me be fucking Gurney Halleck or, goddamn.
I want to be Kyle MacLachlan.
That's Timothy Chalamet's character.
Yeah, but I want to be actually Kyle MacLachlan's version and not Timothy Chalamet's
Look,
version.
if we're just going to put anybody in there, I want to be Kyle MacLachlan's mayor of Austin from Portlandia. If I could pick any Kyle MacLachlan, I want to be that Kyle MacLachlan.
That's such a specifically different, weird one, but I'll allow it.
Like this neighborhood, it's got 2 record stores, a bar, and a cat. It's a good neighborhood.
And he was not wrong. That's the funniest part about it.
Yep. Speaking of desert, we got a quick little Uniride Sandland trailer.
Yes.
This looks like it was interesting to just kind of see this weird, like, kind of proto open world combat stuff where it's like a driving game combat. I was trying to think of what I would compare this to, because like not many open world games do like vehicle combat anymore.
Well, not in this way either is the thing. Like, because the ones that do are very car related,
right?
They don't like have like flying things. Like Mad Max, it would be the one that most people would want to say, but it's not.
Sure,
like, Mad Max doesn't have like strafing kind of mechanics with your car.
Yeah. The idea that you can that you can kind of drive these things around and then you can directly kill off the stuff in the world. It's interesting. I don't know. I'm more excited for this obviously than I am for any of the Dragon Ball stuff.
Well, this is the stuff that Toriyama likes doing, which is he's really good at vehicle designs.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't give him enough credit for that stuff because of Dragon Ball. And I think like this is more his more the weirder shit that he actually is really fun at doing.
Yeah,
like this and Dr. Slump, that sort of thing.
Oh, do you want to give your quick thoughts about the Budokai trailer from the Game Awards?
Sparking Zero?
Yeah,
Sparking Zero looks fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So they it came out that they've been working on it for 5 years.
Wow.
Which is the longest development time for an anime game I've heard in quite some time.
And remember, this is like the arena. This is an arena fighter, right?
Yeah, because Budokai Tenkaichi was one of the first big original arena fighters, and in Japan it's called Sparking. If you guys are wondering why it's called Sparking Zero and not Budokai Tenkaichi 4, the reason they called it Budokai Tenkaichi was because they wanted to tie it to the Budokai series, which was very fresh at that point.
Okay,
and so it's easier. So they're doing what what Yakuza is doing, where they're like, well, let's just use the Japanese name. It doesn't fucking matter anymore.
Right.
And so
you fucking Dragon Ball people, you don't care. You don't give a shit. You're gonna buy no matter what it's called.
I don't care. There are people who for some reason are being really fucking weird about it, but I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger finding out about the game before it was even called Budokai Tenkaichi, being like, ooh, Sparking, and I was telling all my friends, and then they were confused when it was called what it was. And so yeah, I'm very excited because they've added they've added some stuff that'll happen if you do certain things. Like Namek will look like it's exploding now. Like they've done so many things I've wanted them to do for a long time, and maybe we'll finally start getting some adaptations of some stuff that they haven't had a chance to make an actual story adaptation for. Because people used to it used to be a gag for a long time where it's like, oh, you're buying a Dragon Ball game, so you're gonna do the whole fucking sagas again. I'm like, yes, that's what I want these fucking games for. I don't understand what the issue is with you people. And the thing is that it's been a long time since we've had just a game that is just that instead of fucking Xenoverse again.
Right.
So I'm very, very excited for that game.
All right, cool. Let's see. Well, speaking of arena fighters, we got a much longer Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash fighter or explainer, kind of talking about the variety of different things that are in the game. I mean, there's I'm kind of interested in this, even though again, you know how for years I've been like, anime fans demand better video games, and then I'm like, ooh, one for an anime that I like, but if I don't buy this game, it's not going to mean anything. I do wish that they would make a better game, but then I've spent a long time wondering there's not so many Sentai series don't have trash mobs, so I'm not sure how you do it if it's not a fighting game, some kind of fighting game, either a 2D or a 3D fighting game. But this one, at least, it looks like it's duo centric. So you pick two characters and they have a synergy between them. There's a lot going on in here. You can play online. You can play PvE, you can play co-op with other people versus the
like an arcade thing.
Yeah, versus computer opponents. You can equip different things. There's a whole obviously can change out your outfits. The outfits all look really stupid. I don't care about them at all. Palette swaps for the most part. There's also some kind of relationship chart that determines how like effective you are with certain people.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know.
So they're trying to do something with the arena fighters.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that.
And they're doing the thing where it's like I recognized there was one arena in here that I recognized from specifically that only exists in season 2.
Oh, okay.
So I'm wondering if the reason this isn't coming out until February is because they're waiting for season 2 to finalize, because it goes through season 2. It'll go through season 1 and then all of season 2.
That makes some sense.
That would also, though, really fill in a lot of the holes that they have in the roster, or they might do what they did with My Hero Academia, where they release this and then they release like a DLC that is the entire second season, or they did that with Attack on Titan too, right?
They did that with that one, yeah.
So
it's very doable. That's the thing. That's the thing about arena fighters is it's easy to add more stuff that is story related, because it's not that much work.
Yep,
that's how Xenoverse 2 lasted as long as it did.
Yep. Tekken got a full-on story trailer.
It did.
Did you watch this one?
I didn't, because I was working.
Oh.
I was going to, because I was like, yeah, the story trailer for Tekken 8. Can't wait to see the batshit insanity that's going to happen now.
There's some batshit insanity in here. Not just that, but like they've got these subtitles, and certain words are in this other thing where it's like,
I saw that. I was like, what?
And they don't make any sense. They're not like, they're all small words. They're like if or to or and. Like they're not like important words or anything. It's not like an emphasis.
Yeah.
It appears that the story here, Michael, I'm sorry, I'm just going to tell you, but I know you're going to watch this eventually, is that Jin has lost his devil powers, and Kazuya now has, like, super devil powers.
Oh.
And that he's, like, using them to like take over the world, and that you've got all these different factions of characters that are joining up to kind of fight him, and Jin's trying to get his powers back, and like then there's all the new people there, and some of them are working for the Kazuya Corporation, whatever the Heihachi conglomerate, what are they called?
The Mishimas?
Mishima Industries. It's interesting in this trailer, everybody's talking in their native language.
Well, that's how Tekken's always been. Tekken's one of the few things where, like, if that guy's Chinese, he speaks Chinese. If that guy's American, he's speaking English.
You can tell me, has this particular, like, demon version of Kazuya been in the game before?
No, there was a very similar version of it at the end of 7 that fights Akuma, if I remember, or fights Akuma and a Heihachi. Because at that point, that's when he's showing like he's gaining even more power.
Okay,
kind of thing.
Because I know there's like Devil Jin, right? I've seen that before.
Yeah, the difference between Devil Jin and Kazuya is that Kazuya looks like a straight up demon,
right?
Where Devil Jin looks like a guy cosplaying as a demon,
right? Kind
of thing, because he just has horns on it. Like he's a guy you would run into a Comic-Con because he has horns on his head and some spiky teeth or something.
Yeah,
but for the most part, he just looks like Jin.
Looks pretty fucking solid though. A lot of absolutely bug nuts berserk shit going on in this trailer.
Yeah,
like just
it looks like Tekken's known for
some of that stupid ass Tekken shit going on.
It always cracks me up when people are like, Tekken can be very serious. I'm like, are you serious?
No,
Tekken.
No,
it's Tekken, guys.
It's Tekken. Yeah, it's like it's the coolest thing 14-year-old you has ever seen.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. I still think it's really cool because Tekken has a very insane story.
Yeah,
that you just you have to just keep remembering. Like, yeah, Jin is Kazuya's dad or Kazuya's son. You're like, right. But they look like they're the same age.
Yeah,
like you just have to deal with the fact that there's a lot of Mishimas apparently.
Yeah,
and they just keep adding them, and that Heihachi's favorite son is a bear.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Anyway, yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I love it. I love fucking Tekken, man. I can't wait for this game.
We got a like kind of an explainer for Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which is kind of interesting. This is the Kickstarter project from the guy that made the Suikoden series.
Oh, yeah.
Where you get like 100 guys. What I thought was really interesting, they kind of went through, they talked about the backstory of the game and this kind of like traditional RPG system. They talked about the world and how you get a character, and then you're going to be like collecting allies. One thing I didn't know is like, so the weird thing about this game is that the individual character sprites are like pixel sprites, right?
Oh.
And then the world is like 3D. So they've got like a 5-point turnaround but they're still 2D sprites in a 3D
I remember
world.
us talking about that.
Yeah.
Because we thought it looked kind of off originally.
Which I do think looks a little off. But then what was kind of weird was they showed off a lot of these different characters. Also, there is a shark guy. I should just say there's a shark guy, and I like that shark guy a lot because he's just like a shark. He's not even like King Shark. Like his neck doesn't even work the right way. He's just like his head's just sticking up in the air. Yeah. But yeah, it looks like they're kind of trying to do they're trying to do the Suikoden thing where you get a bunch of characters. One of the most interesting things though that I saw in this was that there's like these larger war segments. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, where basically you get like full-on armies that you're moving around in kind of like a grid structure to do battles. But then what's interesting is that when you look at this, all of the characters in here are 3D. Like all the characters on the ground are 3D in this mode. So it's like they I'm not saying they had 3D models of every character, but it's like there's only 2D characters in one place in the game, and it's that like traditional RPG thing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Kind of fun though, but crazy.
Yeah, who knows? This could be one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, this is fucking like next year might be a really good year for this kind of thing. Between this and what's that Vanillaware game? Whose thing I keep forgetting?
Oh, I don't remember either.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we've always said that indie games will most likely be the thing that takes over the next year or two.
Yeah.
Thanks to the fact that there was a lot of issues thanks to COVID, as well as writer strike stuff that affected some of it, to be honest.
Yep.
Not everything, because not everything was related to that. But we're gonna get that point where we're not gonna see a lot of big games next year, I feel.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. Who knows? But yep. Anyway, looks pretty good. I don't know. I got to get over that art style problem, but other than that, it looks pretty good. Let's see. There was a big 5-minute Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown gameplay overview thing. I talked about this last week briefly because it's a little older. This really goes into the mechanics of how the game works, and it's really interesting because it talks a lot about the story, but then it also talks a lot about like the different types of like your powers and like equipment and upgrades and things like that. I think this game looks so fucking good. One of the things I really like about it is this thing that you're seeing right here. If you get to a place where you don't have the power that you need to get there, you can take a snapshot and it puts an icon on the map with the power that you need.
Oh.
And then you can just be like, oh, right, that was the door I needed the ice beam to get into, and go back to it, which I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I'm so tired of looking for the thing.
There were some games that did something similar. That Castlevania Mirror of Fate had something like that, but it was like a literal note that you could like put on there with the touch screen to be like, okay, this is a spot I should get back to, but it didn't tell you, what power you needed. Also,
you weren't here last week, but I looked up. This is Ubisoft Montpellier. These are the guys who did Rayman.
Oh,
are doing this, and I'm just like, I'm so excited for this because
that explains why it's such a good looking 2D thing.
Yeah, why it looks so good and it looks so fluid and like fun and shit.
Yeah, Ubisoft has not been they've not been on their A game for quite some time.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Be interesting to see. Let's see. Poor Wayfinder is getting a 0.2 update as well as like a winter event.
Oh.
So apparently they're reworking a lot of the different like weapons and classes and stuff. I really do need to go back and give this game an actual full-on shake because when it launched the servers were borked and then I just never got back to it. And I want to get back to it because I should play one of Airship Syndicate's games. I keep not playing them.
Eventually you should, yes.
Yeah, outside of Darksiders Genesis, which was great, but I don't know. Just got to go back and see where this is any good. But, it's still in early access and they're still working on it. So I just worried that they're going to go out of business before this comes out. So
that is always the worry with games nowadays, especially games like this.
Yeah. So we'll find out. Kerbal Space Program 2
I forgot this was even happening. So
yeah, they got a science update. So the game didn't have science up until now.
That's so weird.
It was just like sandbox mode. So
because it's an early access thing, right?
Yep, it's still in early access. So they got themselves a science update. They also got the new update does what they call auto struts. So the rockets don't wobble like noodles when you try to steer them, which they were doing before, unless you manually put a whole bunch of like struts on them. So yeah, it's getting better. Somebody in the Discord asked if I was going to play this. I'm like, I'm still waiting for it to be a little bit more done.
You should.
Like it's still so early that I don't want to make my time investing in it. But I watched Matt Lowndes' video on this, and it looks like they've got a bunch of good, they've got all the tech upgrades and science projects and stuff that you can do. So that's good stuff.
Eventually, this game will be exactly what it should be.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully. The Vampire Survivors emergency meeting launched.
Oh yeah.
So now you can be an Among Us in Vampire Survivors. What a weird year we live in.
Yeah. Among Us has taken the world by storm in ways we didn't expect.
And Vampire Survivors, for that matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a bunch of, like, weird shit. But then there's also, like, I don't know if you saw that. I kind of want to know how this works. Like, they're playing Vampire Survivors, but at the bottom there's a who is the imposter, like,
yeah, how does that work?
Screen comes up. And so I don't know if that's how you're choosing, like, your Among Us upgrade or something, because it's got 3 beans and then a Vampire Survivor guy, so you just have to pick the Vampire Survivor character each time.
Because they're all on there is the thing, so I don't know.
Yep.
That's weird.
It's very weird. It's very weird, and I love it, and it's fucking nutty. It's nutty bananas, and I love it.
Oh, my God.
So, let's see. Escape Simulator. Remember that game that we played a while back?
Yeah.
Has an Among Us DLC now that you can do.
Jesus Christ.
So there you go. If you're looking for more Among Us, you can do it in that. It doesn't seem like it has a lot to do with Among Us, but I might just not be very hip with what the actual puzzles in Among Us are.
Well, it's just puzzles in general, so I think that's just the idea is like, hey, just do these puzzles.
Yep. Power Wash Simulator got a free update. Santa's Workshop.
Oh, fun.
So it's just a single level. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it at some point, but I haven't played it just yet. And then we got the release date for Atomic Heart's Trapped in Limbo DLC. Michael, I know we're not really keeping up with this, but like, I watched this trailer, and this is weird. Like, I was like, this game was so weird. This DLC looks like it's like 4 times as weird as the full video game.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on?
It's all this candy land, and there's like a bunch of swans, and your character has like white fur. There's like gingerbread houses, and I don't know what
something attacking.
I don't know what is happening in this trailer.
There's like a runner thing happening.
Yeah,
what the fuck is going on?
I don't know. I can't tell.
Cookie enemies,
it's
I guess.
Very weird. It's
this
like
is so creepy.
It's very weird, and I don't know what exactly is happening.
Man, I wish this game was as good as we were hoping it was. It really wasn't.
I need to go back and see if they ever rebalanced it to make it more fun, but I just don't think I saw that news anywhere. So
yeah, I've
never
never heard of anybody being like, they fixed the game, because I tried. I really did. But once you got out into the open world part of it, it was like, man, this is bad.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's possible. It's possible, but I don't know. Oh, fuck. I forgot about something. Dying Light 2 has a winter celebration. Fuck that. I don't care about that. We're too close to the end here. Did you see... Did you see that Devolver Digital put out a thing today?
I heard about it, but I didn't see it. My friends were talking about it.
Yeah, it's basically just like, there's not a lot new here. It was basically just like this.
It was their holiday special thing.
The holiday special.
My friends were talking about it because they did it live originally.
Yeah.
And then they just came out with
the Devolver Public Access Holiday Special. Like, I'm not going to go through this because it's a whole 30 minutes and we're out of time already. But like, it started with these 2 like live action guys like calling up their boss and saying, we got enough cheer to do a holiday special. The best part is the first 10 minutes. They have a musical number where this puppet and then quote unquote Santa, who is Satan with a Santa hat on, and Meatless, I think is the skeleton, are singing back and forth about whether the holiday special should be about new games or the back catalog. And so each side is singing about all the new games or the back catalog. There's a really, really good gag in here where the new games person is singing about all the new games comes out, and then they're like, they talk about Cult of the Lamb, and then the CEO puppet is like, Cult of the Lamb, you came out last year. You get over on this side. And then Cult of the Lamb has to go on that side because all the games are represented by like these like papercraft googly eyed puppets. It's kind of amazing. Like, yeah, there's where he's like, you get over here, Cult of the Lamb, and then Cult of the Lamb has to go back to the old games part.
There was one gag that my friend mentioned that made me laugh, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
Yeah. Oh, no, they had a bunch. Like, they had some games, they had some trailers, but then they had, like, these kind of, like, framing devices. Like, they were talked about, oh God, what the hell is this thing called? The one with the storybook thing. About how like they a framing device where it's like this character's been around for years and then he actually jumped out of the video game and he's been wandering around my house. They had a cooking show called like Drill It or something like that was for Pepper Grinder, the thing with the drill, where they were like cooking stuff, but you always had to use a drill to cook everything.
Here was, can I get an Annapurna on one of those? I think is what it was.
Oh yeah. That was in the opening. But yeah, this is fun. You should go watch it. It's not on the level of like, you know, their full E3s.
It's just them having fun with like but also like advertising their game, because that's what I love about Devolver.
Yeah,
is they believe in everything they release, and they also know how to like have interesting weird ways to tell you about these things.
Yeah. The last part was the Bennett Foddy and the guy from Ape Out talking about baby steps. This was great. This was legitimately funny, and I laughed at it a whole bunch of times.
That's
because it's like a very candid conversation that they then kind of animated with like Bennett Foddy in the pot, and then the Ape Out guy as a big ape from Ape Out.
Yeah,
talking about baby steps, and it has a lot of interdimensional cable energy to it. Like being very kind of raw.
Is it's like their paper things that have like the where you can see where the joints would move up and down on their paper arms kind of thing.
They've got that's a lot of brads. Yeah. It's pretty funny. Everybody should go watch this whole thing. And then I tell you what, let's do a couple quick things. Hunter x Hunter is getting a fighting game.
Oh, I haven't thought about Hunter x Hunter in a while.
Or Hunter, I guess is what they call it. I don't know if
Hunter Cross Hunter. I don't know. Most people just say Hunter. Yeah.
It was announced at the Jump Festa over the weekend.
Oh, I forgot that was happening.
The company that's making it is called Eighting, EIGHTING. They worked on Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Bloody Roar, and then also DNF Duel, and then also like Pikmin 4. So they're like one of those like sub companies that could do a really good job.
Those are very, very great games.
Yep.
Like I haven't thought about Bloody Roar in a while too. Actually.
Yep.
That's something they should bring back. The furries will be all over it.
Shadow Gambit got a mod tool.
Oh.
That's like they put out that DLC and then they put out a mod tool that allows you to like basically kind of make your own custom maps. Or not, you can't like make your maps, but you can place like guards and treasure and like set objectives and stuff and then share it with other people. What a great thing to do right at the end of the life cycle for this game.
Yeah,
right?
It'll keep the game alive even longer than that.
Yeah. You could put in little custom cutscenes and stuff. So yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. This is from last week, but I wanted to get it out there. Spider-Man 2, the big like features update, like for New Game Plus, is going to be. It was moved from this year to next year, but then it's going to add a lot more. You can change like the time of day.
Yeah.
You can replay single player missions, stuff like that.
I hope they had the podcast re-listening, because that was something that was sorely missing.
Oh, okay.
Because I missed like 2 or 3 of them because I was trying to like not make them. I was trying to just stay in an area that listen to them.
Yeah.
But then something would happen and it would just cut them short.
Dude, that shit in Valhalla is pissing me off where Kratos is talking about something and then it's like, wait, no, I didn't know there was an enemy there. Like, I guess we'll just get back to that later. And I'm like, no, get back to it now. Come on.
Every time.
So yeah, look on be on the lookout for that. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League has been delayed on the PC by a month.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. So on the Epic Games Store, which is where it's going to be releasing on the PC,
this game can't catch a break.
Instead of February 2nd, which is where the console releases are, it'll be like March 5th.
Jesus Christ.
Like a whole month.
That is so long.
Yep.
I don't want the game to fail. I think the game, because I like Rocksteady. I think Rocksteady is a good company still. Yeah. Even I feel like the live service thing wasn't even their idea at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But because I think the game will probably still be fine, like the actual game itself. I'm just not very interested in its premise or the actual the story of it.
Sure.
So
yeah, you don't gotta be. I'm trying to kind of maintain a I don't know, this could be good. Prove me wrong, and then if you do, I'll be like, okay, well, that was shit.
And for all I know, if it turns out to be really good, I might just buy it when it's really cheap or something one day.
Sure,
I don't know. That could happen. I almost did that with Gotham Knights recently.
Death Stranding, it was coming out on the iPhone this year, and
I heard about that.
It's been pushed out to 2024.
I'm okay with this because I don't really care. I have an iPhone, so
they needed more time. Take more time. Rocket Arena is shutting down.
Okay. Don't take this wrong, Rocket Arena people.
Yeah.
I thought you were shut down a long time ago.
This year, you might have remembered that this year they delisted the game, but they didn't announce that they were shutting it down.
That's probably why I thought that.
Yes. They're shutting down March 21st of next year. They're going to do some events leading up to it.
We have a video of us playing it.
Yep.
If I recall.
We played Rocket League.
And then we forgot it existed for quite some time.
Rocket League and Knockout City and Rumbleverse. A lot of those games tried and they got so far, but in the end, it didn't even matter. So
Knockout City, I think, got the farthest, if I remember correctly.
They got that Ninja Turtles money.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that have been delisted from Steam, Peter Molyneux's Goddess games have been delisted from Steam.
Huh.
Do you remember Goddess?
No.
Was it was a spiritual successor to Populous, and it was the reward. Remember, he had that game where people would tap on the cube to remove segments?
Oh.
And the person who got to the middle got a big reward, and the reward was that they would have god powers when Goddess came out, and then it turns out that it was terrible and everybody fucking hated it. And then they were like, oh, I'm sorry, but instead of fixing it, they put out another game called Goddess Wars. There was a real-time strategy war game with these same faceless fucking yahoos, and everybody hated that too.
Oh my god.
But now they're both being delisted off of Steam. So buy your keys now. You'll be able to sell them for $300 for people are going to want to buy bad games for some reason.
It's weird. But when something gets delisted, people think it means that it's rare and that people want it. And that's what causes that.
Yep.
It's all artificial.
Hey, man. People sometimes ask Jeff, they're like, what are you going to do once all the money runs out from RageSelect? And I'm like, bitch, I have a PS4 downstairs with PT installed on it, okay?
That's true.
That's my retirement right there.
That thing is still worth quite a bit, actually.
Let's see.
I'm bummed I didn't get a PS4 until after PT was gone.
This is a kind of an interesting thing. There's a YouTube channel called Y2K Era PC Game Aesthetics that has a series of Yule logs from different video games.
Oh, that's fun.
So they're just 30-minute, here's the Vampire the Masquerade, here's a thing, and they just run. Not only that, but this video game, this channel also apparently has just here's just a scene from Splinter Cell Chaos Theory with the background noise and the rain.
Area too.
Yeah, but it just runs for an hour. That's all they do.
That's fascinating.
Is just capture these empty things. But they put out a whole series of Yule logs.
It's like ASMR.
Yeah. They put out this one is the fireplace from No One Lives Forever from Kate Archer's house, apparently.
That's
and it's
fun.
Okay, cool.
That's really fun. I love that weird that niche that people don't know that people want until they get it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of fun.
Let's see. Baldur's Gate 3 has an advent calendar.
Really?
Yes. If you go to it is yes, advent.baldursgate3.game. They have this advent calendar, and it's got a little story about this little Grimsha thing. And then it's also every day there's a little matching, a matcher puzzle, one of these, a memory puzzle, where you got to match guys, and then you get a little prize, and they're just pictures of things from the game. And so far I did them all today. So far they're either pieces of this story or they're soundtrack. Music you can download as an MP3 or
that's really fun
format. So yeah, go check it out. It's free. I mean, it's just right there. It's free. It's going until Christmas Eve. So also, if you were mad last week that Baldur's Gate 3 that they played Larian off, Sven Vinke went on to Twitter to actually thank all the people that he wanted to thank and say all the things that he wanted to say, because they had a team member that passed away right before this happened, and
they got to I'm glad at least they got to mention that when they were on stage.
Yeah,
but man, God, the Game Awards just pissed me off with that.
Yeah, 30 seconds is too too short.
No, like it's like they were like, we're celebrating games. I'm like, no, you're not. This is just a giant fucking commercial that is pretending to.
Well, the thing is, like, somebody last week was like, do you remember how long what's his face from Kratos' speech was last year? And it was like, yes, I do, but like, that's what this is for.
This is for them to be they're recognized and they get to do this.
If you don't want to do this, do Winter Game Fest.
Yeah.
And we'll all watch it. I'll watch it, man. Like,
just announce all these things and a thing that you like. Just announce them the way it's an E3. It's just another fucking E3.
Right.
The only difference is that you're pretending to give a shit about the developers.
Yeah.
And this is the year that absolutely proved to me that they don't really give a shit about that.
See, I think that what happened was that they just overcorrected. And I'm pretty sure that next year they're going to try to move it back. Like, they're not going to do that again.
No.
Because they got fucking reamed for it.
Well, they absolutely got called out for it by everyone. Yeah. Everyone called them out for it.
You can see a picture of fucking the AG Enuma with the please wrap it up sign, and you're just like, you don't tell Enuma to wrap it up. You let Enuma say what Enuma wants to say, okay?
It was frustrating because all these people just wanted it to be like, hey, I'm super happy that this happened.
Yeah.
And every year it feels like there's less actual people going up for the awards too.
Yeah.
So it's like, guys, just fucking
and then
be an award show.
And then, like, of all the things in the world, this year has been Sven Vinkey's year. This motherfucker's had his head down making games for like 20 years. He's finally fucking broken out, hit the big time. He's got the hot thing that everybody's talking about. The guy who wore his armor to the Game Awards. He is a dork, you guys. Let him talk. Just let him have a minute.
Let him have this time.
Yeah.
That was the game of the year.
Yeah.
And that should have been the fucking crown jewel time frame to give somebody time.
Like, look, man, I get this shit, and I like Hideo Kojima and I like Jordan Peele, but if you need to fucking axe that segment to let Sven Vinkey thank the people that he wants to thank, including like friends that are no longer with us, do that, man. Just kind of be cool.
Well, it's like the game of, like, it's like if you were doing the Oscars and instead of giving fucking Anne Hathaway time to talk, you're like, no one gives a shit. Here's a trailer for Dune 2 or something. You're like, no, that's not why people fucking watch this shit. They watch it to celebrate their games, and I'm not getting that.
Yep.
And I was just very annoyed by it.
Well, also,
and then Sam Lake, he doesn't speak English that well.
Right.
And they didn't give enough time to really say anything.
Yep. Yeah, it was a shit show. The only upside that I have for it is that, like, but we also know that they mean nothing. Like, they mean absolutely nothing. So
they get to put it on the box, I guess.
Yeah, but yeah, you guys should all go read Sven Vinkey's tweet storm that he did where we actually went all over this stuff. It was very sweet. He even mentioned, like, the people that got laid off from Wizards of the Coast and how he hopes for the best of them.
I felt so bad about that. Yeah, that revelation was huge. I was like, holy shit.
He specifically called out, like, QA and community and, like, the support staff. Like, he was like, and not only that, but he prefaced it with, like, these people don't get enough credit. And so I specifically want to talk about, like, our community manager and our QA support and our support staff and the people that, like, made this thing. And as somebody who's worked in a lot of those jobs, I was like, yeah, man, you fucking do it.
I was very happy with it.
Give this nerd a microphone.
It just bums me out that he didn't get a chance to really say it up on stage.
Yep. Well, okay, listen, we gotta talk a little bit after this because I don't want to end on a bummer, even though I knew I was going to do it. Last thing, James McCaffrey, the voice of Max Payne, passed away at 65.
So fucking devastated.
Yeah,
because I was like, you know what, 2023. It's ending. Like, we're almost there at the end. Nothing can ruin my time.
Yeah,
and then this happened.
Yeah,
and what made it worse is that. The way it was announced, because Max Dillon is another actor who was a friend of his, had announced it on his Instagram or something. But then people were like, well, maybe that's not who he was talking about. Maybe it was a mix-up.
Right.
Because some random kid named Francis James McCaffrey also died at the same time of cancer. Like, and so people were sitting there, like, staring. Like, there was even a tweet from the one of the guys working at Remedy going, hey, I just woke up. We're trying to figure out what's going on and if this has actually happened. Yeah. Because they don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so it was just 2023's last giant kick to my balls.
Yep.
As hard as possible. And I'm so fucking sad.
Yeah.
From it, but he got to have one last game as well with Alan Wake 2.
Yep, with Alan Wake 2 as with his words coming out of Sam Lake's mouth. It's so weird.
Full circle, the full Remedy circle.
Yep.
That I was hoping was not going to be happening.
Also, he was director Trench in Control.
Yes,
so he showed up an awful lot there.
He was one of their great actors that they had in a lot of their games.
Yeah,
he was solidified as that, and a lot of people who don't play games will recognize him as Dennis Leary's ghost person that follows him throughout all of Rescue Me.
Oh,
because he's his I think it was his brother or cousin. I never really watched Rescue Me, but that's how I found out.
Because he was like he was an accomplished Hollywood guy before any of the rest of this happened. Like
he was in a lot of stuff.
He's got a movie credit list a mile long. So. Yeah,
he was a very great actor.
He had a cameo in the Max Payne movie. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there's I even remember the exact scene. So what happens is that somebody's upset with with the chief of police, and he's like, you're not even really a real cop. He's like, well, yeah, well, here's a real cop, and he shows up, and he's like, hey, FBI, who are you again? Like, and I remember that exact. I remember being in the movie theater going, ah! it's Max Payne, and I'm really interested into how this will affect the remakes.
Oh yeah.
I hope that they just use his old audio and just try to up-res it as much as they can.
Or do you think
he really does deserve to be Max for that last hurrah?
It does bring up the interesting question from Cyberpunk, right? The guy that played the mechanic in Cyberpunk who passed away.
Oh, the AI thing.
And they got permission from his family, and they used all the stuff they recorded from him, and they built an AI to do new lines. It would be interesting to see.
The only reason I wouldn't want that, and it's not because I don't want new lines, it's because he had such a way of saying his lines that I don't know if you can convey that the same way with an AI.
Well, I know that in the case of the Cyberpunk thing, they had somebody kind of come in and do they found somebody that sounded like the guy to then do the new lines that they wanted, who was a human who was able to listen to this guy and do it in the same cadence, and then they kind of layered it over. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see.
It's tricky. That's the thing.
We'll see.
If it's just a straight remake, I hope they just use his audio period, because he had the way he says any of his lines is just I even posted one of my favorite lines from Max Payne 2, where he's just life is I don't remember the exact wording, because he's like, life is just a straight line. There's no branching things. It's not you. It wouldn't be you looking and the other choices, kind of thing. The full line is much better, but I don't really have time to say the entire thing anyway. So
sure,
because it's a pretty long one.
Well, I tell you what, we've got we're kind of over time, but we have a couple minutes left. Do you want to just, we don't want to do the full hurrah, but what do you think you've enjoyed the most this year when it comes to video games? Let's go out on a little bit of an up note.
That's such a hard question to answer, because I've been playing so many things, because I'd have to really look at what I've played this year. I did play a shit ton of Final Fantasy 16. I played a shit ton of Jedi Survivor, Super Mario Brothers RPG, Super Mario's Wonder, Street Fighter 6, of course.
Which one of those stands out as exceptional, or the most exceptional? I'm interested because I don't think you played the same. You didn't play the same like I played Baldur's Gate and Tears of the Kingdom and stuff, right? So a lot of my best games or most memorable games from last year are probably similar to what was on the Game Awards.
Because I also played Tears of the Kingdom, but I never finished it.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember, because there was a lot of stuff I played this year. I loved the shit out of RoboCop, for instance.
Yeah.
But some of this comes down to recency biasy. And Spider-Man 2 is also a fantastic game. I don't know if I would call Spider-Man 2 my all-time favorite of the year.
Yeah.
Because I had some shortcomings with the story. The Dead Space remake, again, was another fantastic fucking one. I never got a chance to play Alan Wake 2, so I can't say on Alan Wake 2, unfortunately. Of everything I played this year that I can recall right away, this is going to sound weird, but I loved Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Because I loved its story, I loved its music, I loved its acting, I loved how it plays. it was one of my top 5 games of the year. And I think it's as much as I say it's not, we would like it more if it was a spinoff instead of just being Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
I think it's still one of the best things Square has put out in a very long time.
I can see that because it's not just a remake or some kind of like it is its own original thing. Yes. Like 15 still kind of had the stank of 13 versus 13 on it when it came out, and 14 was an MMO. You know, I've laid out this timeline before where it's like you got to go all the way back to 13 to get the last like just like regular schmegular. Here's a new thing in the Final Fantasy universe type of thing.
That's like I feel like that's the one that I played so much, and I had so much fun with it that I can't like immediately say another one was my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Fighting game wise, Street Fighter 6 was my all-time favorite of those, because like, and honestly, it comes down to like what were my favorite of specific sections,
right?
And that's kind of what that was in that way.
Okay. Yeah, I played a little. I like. It's weird how I think you and I, like I said, we had very different years when it came to games, because you know, like I hate to be the most basic of all the bitches, but like fucking Baldur's Gate 3 is the likes of which I've never seen before. Like just the complexity and the scale and the scope and just how much of it there was and how engaging it was. I do think that Final Fantasy 16, I did enjoy playing Final Fantasy 16, even though I had a whole bunch of problems with it. The problem is that I also have Baldur's Gate 3 to compare it to as just RPG versus RPG, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the idea of being able, the difference between Clive's story and I made my own character and they made a whole bunch of decisions and it was all fucking crazy. And, you know,
the thing about Baldur's Gate 3, because I didn't play it, and the reason I didn't pick it is purely because I didn't play it.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact if I did play it, it would have been my number one, because Baldur's Gate 3, like you said, it's a game that is so special that you don't see anything like it in the past decade, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you don't feel like there's anything as innovative and like wacky, but also serious at the same time.
Sure.
Out there.
I want to like, and then there's, I mean, like, here's the thing. Mario Wonder, Spider-Man 2, Tears of the Kingdom, those were all good. I don't know. I waffle with Tears of the Kingdom, like, because there's a lot going on in there that was good, but by the same token, I do kind of get the criticism about how like it's a different take, but it still is kind of the same world, and it's not that much different than the last one.
Yeah.
To the point where I feel like my how full of Zelda meter are you was still, it hadn't gone all the way to the bottom, even with the amount of time since Tears of the Kingdom came out.
It's a technological achievement, don't get us wrong.
Absolutely.
But that's not exactly a game of the year.
I also like the story a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
the story's great.
I like the story quite a bit. I thought it was really good. It's just that like it's not, you know what it is? It's that thing, I'm surprised at how much I liked Final Fantasy 16 and Baldur's Gate 3 because I'm just not that big of a medieval fantasy guy. Like, that's just not my shtick.
Yeah.
Like, I probably replayed Armored Core more than anything this year, and that to me was amazing because I was like, I wasn't sure when Armored Core came out. I've tried playing the previous Armored Core games, and I've always been like, meh. And then I was like, fuck no, man, I'm fucking in it now. Like, I'm doing it. I'm assault boosted. I'm shooting stuff. Oh, goddamn. I love it. Cyberpunk. I waited 2 years for Cyberpunk to be done. And with the Phantom Liberty expansion, I was like, oh, I enjoy this game now. Like,
Cyberpunk is a really good game now. I didn't really play it that much when it came out.
Yep.
So the version of it is now, I think, is the actual game it should have been to begin with. And that's great. And it's become even better than even when I last touched it.
Yep.
And I didn't bring up, well, I should have brought up Resident Evil 4 because I did bring up Dead Space remake.
Resi 4 was one of the best remakes.
Those games are the best remakes I've ever played.
Yep.
I would not make them game of the year purely because they're remakes.
Yes, Resident Evil 4 was I for a long time. Okay, here's the thing. I still don't think Resident Evil 4 needed to be remade.
No, it didn't. But
what they've done was like Resident Evil 4 was such a fucking great game, and then the stuff that they added didn't come off as superfluous. It came up. It was like additive. It made things in a lot of ways even better.
That was the thing, because even Dead Space 1, I didn't really think needed a remake either.
Yeah,
but they both did exactly that.
Yeah,
they added in such a way that it made the game feel even more unique than what I thought it was going to feel like.
Yes. I didn't see it on that many lists, and so I just want to talk about some of these things.
Bring up Bud Spencer.
Slaps and Beans?
Slaps and Beans
Slaps
too.
and Beans too? No, I was going to say...
watch the Patreon for that.
Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the Man Who Erased His Name. I fucking loved it. It was a bite-sized Yakuza thing. There was the...
I didn't play it, so yeah.
Like a Dragon Ishin came out earlier this year, but no, I was very excited, and it held up. It was a nice little bite-sized... The snapshot, it had some real interesting stuff. I was like, okay, cool. Dave the Diver, I obviously wouldn't shut the fuck up about Dave the Diver.
Dave the Diver's great. Bolt Gun is one that I want to throw out there. Yeah, because Bolt Gun's it was a fun Doom-like shooter. That was a lot of fun.
I should think of some of the other ones. There's obviously other stuff in here.
Was Shredder's Revenge this year or last year?
That was last year, I believe. Okay, no. There was a kind of a definitive edition. There was a bunch of DLC that came out.
That might be what I was thinking of this year.
This year. Was that Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened? Remember that?
Jesus Christ.
That was so weird. That was so weird. There's so much this year. There's a lot of stuff that I need to go back and finish. Like I've got a big I was looking at what do I need to finish? Like, do I want to finish Persona 5 Tactica? I finally just broke down and rebought the RoboCop game because the PS5 has this fucking glitch and it drives me up the wall.
Yeah,
so
I get it. I finished all of RoboCop, and I loved it. It was that was a game that I think is so fucking good for what it is.
Yep.
That I highly recommend it if you like RoboCop at all or even shooters.
What? Right the fuck there. Dead Island 2. Dead Island 2 was years in the making, and I didn't think I was ever going to see it. And then when I did see it, it was going to be dick, and then it ended up being absolutely fantastic. I played the hell out of that game from start to finish, and it was fun the entire time. I really, 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 really liked it. Did Saints Row was last year?
That was the last year game.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat 1 has a great story. It has a lot of issues, which is the reason it wasn't my favorite fighting game of the year.
Yep.
But it's a fantastic Mortal Kombat game, and I recommend it just for its mechanics.
Yep.
And there's just so much. There's so many games this year, guys.
Oh, they put out. We already beat it, but they put out that Guilt game.
Yes.
Finally made it off of Stadia. That was fucking great.
You guys should definitely play Guilt. I think Fortnite did a great job this year.
Yep.
So I'm just going to throw that one out there. And there's so many things that I would love to bring up, but I don't.
It's hard to think of all of them.
It's hard to think of them because that's the thing. This year has been so huge with games and flooded with stuff that.
Yep.
And I admitted that some of my stuff was recency biasy, which is why it makes it that much harder to remember stuff without like an entire list right in front of me. Kind of thing.
That wasn't this year, was it? That Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse?
I think it was for the consoles. It was. I just had one in my head. I fucking lost it.
Sorry, I should just be.
Fuck, what was it? Remnant 2.
Oh yeah, Remnant 2.
People really liked Remnant 2.
I almost beat it. I got really close to actually fully beating it, but I
heard great things about that. I highly recommend that as well.
Yep. Was Exoprimal this year? My goodness.
I think it was.
Oh, there's that Double Dragon.
That Double Dragon game was really fun.
Yep.
I think just play it if you really like beat 'em ups, especially roguelike beat 'em ups.
Yeah.
Because that was a fun time.
I'm trying to think.
Especially with a friend. If you have a friend, play that with a friend.
Looking through a lot of these.
It makes it that much funner. We will not bring up fucking that magic shooter game.
Oh.
That's not on my list.
Was Forspoken in January?
Yes, it was.
Oh my god,
that was the beginning of the year thing.
God, it's so
it was
hard
supposed to be December, but it got pushed back to January.
The Hellboy game wasn't very. I didn't like that very much. But
did that come out?
Yep,
I didn't know that.
Totally came out. Yeah, there's been a lot. Oh yeah, Wanted Dead.
Oh Jesus.
Redfall. Boy, there's been a lot of weird stinkers this year.
Evil West was last year, right?
Crime Boss, Rocky City.
Jesus.
Obviously. Gangs of Sherwood. We're in real upper echelons here.
Gangs of Sherwood. Yeah, that was a fun time, actually.
Quantum Error. You and I are playing the hits this year.
Did you end up doing Lord the Golem at all?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't exist on RageSelect.
Okay,
Never
cool.
Never played it. Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. The re-release of Metroid Prime was a good time.
Very good.
It was a very very good re-release.
God, I keep forgetting that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 just like full on came out this year.
It did. Pizza Tower was also apparently it took the world by storm.
Yeah. Michael got into Dead Cells this year with the Return of Castlevania DLC.
Castlevania DLC really got me into that game.
Yeah,
it was a good time for games that I'd overlooked to bring me into them. Hi-Fi Rush, I can't stress enough how exciting Hi-Fi Rush was popping up randomly at the end of last year, I think.
No, that was this year.
Was that this year?
That was this year.
The beginning of the year then, I guess.
Yep, January.
Yeah, it popped up out of fucking nowhere.
Yep.
And I'm very happy with how that turned out.
Shadow Game
that's an instance of me trying to remember recency bias or not.
Blasphemous 2, that was very good. Anyway, yeah, a lot of good
great
stuff. I'll be honest though, for me this year, it's weird because it's like Baldur's Gate, Armored Core, Cyberpunk of all things.
I was surprised how much I really liked Cyberpunk. That's a game that I need to get back to going to do because I had so much fun with what I was doing.
Yep. I was amazed at what the turnaround they managed to do there. So, I think that's just about it. Is there anything you can remember from the Game Awards that you wanted to say a thing about?
Not really.
Okay.
The Game Awards was just kind of straightforward. I felt like I didn't even feel like there were any surprises that time.
Yeah.
I did love the Alan Wake 2 performance. That was a lot of fun.
I didn't watch
seeing
it.
Sam Lake get up on stage and start dancing.
Yeah.
So I just had fun with that stuff. But for the most part, the wins were very normal. It was fun seeing Gonzo up on stage.
Yeah.
Or not, he wasn't up on stage, but you know what I mean. Hanging out with Jeff Keighley. I just wish, Jeff Keighley. I hope Jeff Keighley really takes to heart what happened this year because I thought this year was a really bad time for this to be what was going on.
Yeah.
With what was going on with the developers because he didn't even bring up what happened with the fact that a lot of people were being laid off that year. A lot of people were hoping he would. He didn't. It felt like a really wasted bit of potential to celebrate the people who made the games who've had a really tough year.
That's true.
And so I'm hoping next year it will be great for both games as well as for everyone who is looking for work in the gaming sector, as well as it's just
fucking damn it,
more stuff.
I just looked at the calendar. The shit has got me all out of whack. It's Christmas Eve. This is going to come out on Christmas Eve. We could have been doing a whole theme. We could have been done the whole 12 days of Rage Mess. They're going to whole fucking thing, and instead I'm talking about Activision Blizzard again.
It's too late. It's too late, Jeff.
All right.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry everything. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Merry whatever you celebrate. I hope it's
Kwanzaa
good.
bot.
Yep. Have yourself some visions of sugar plums in your heads.
Look out for the Krampus.
The Christmas, the chimney with care. This is the last podcast of the year. We'll be back next year. The way this is going to work is the next week coming up is going to be Christmas videos. The week after that is Best of RageSelect, and then we'll be back the week after that. So, yes, enjoy. Hang out on the Discord, patreon.com/RageSelect or not. I don't care, whatever. Happy holidays, everybody. Bye.